Okay. Frenemies has become a cultural phenomenon credited for reviving the H3 channel as well as the Trisha Paytas dynasty. Yes, it's now a dynasty after the birth of her firstborn Malibu Barbie. Now, if you clicked on this video, I will be assuming that you know of the dynamic duo that made Frenemies. However, in the off chance the YouTube algorithm is for once in its life liking me this week, the Frenemies duo is known as Ethan Klein and Trisha Paytas. Infamous names and even more of an infamous breakup. So let's dive into the legacy in which Frenemies has created on the internet and left behind for us and anyone else to discuss. And is it really that deep? I'm going blind to the amount of eyeliner I put in my eye, your host, Enigma Bizarre, and I'm joined by one of the many children I have locked in my basement, co-host, Jack.
Hello.
And we're here to go over and discuss the histories of Frenemies and if it really was ever that deep. This bitch. So Jack, my co-host, how are you and how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I forgot, is that her actual child's name?
Yes, her firstborn child, who is indeed a girl, is named Malibu Barbie. Actually, before we get into the Frenemies drama, granted, we're not going to touch too much on the individual dramas of these two people, because they most certainly have both justified getting their own podcast. So, trust and believe, Trisha is, in fact, spiritually, emotionally, physically, a chicken nugget. And we will address that eventually, but it won't be in this episode. Secondly, though, in the spirit of not mentioning Trisha Paytas and what she's done, yes, her child's name is in fact Malibu Barbie.
I just had to know because I about spat my water all over my keyboard because I think I had not known that.
Malibu
so that's good
Barbie
to know.
Paytas. Actually, probably Malibu Barbie. I want to say it's Ahmed Paytas because that's her husband's name.
It's the context I needed. So.
Yeah. And the baby just had its first birthday. You'll never guess what theme it was. Barbie. No, I'm just kidding. It was actually Holocaust themed. No, it was Barbie themed. But Trisha Paytas would do a Holocaust themed birthday.
Oh.
She would. She hasn't yet, though. That I know of. I guess we'll find out when I make that podcast. Okay. So, first and foremost, before we get way too deep into this, I want to mention a few channels that I used for research. That's right, I'm a citing ass bitch. They will not be popping up on screen, but if you want to find them, they will be linked in my description down below. Channels I used are, obviously, first and foremost, H3H3 Productions /podcast / the Highlights channel. Honestly, I don't know. The whole fucking industry complex of H3H3 has gone far and wide, and I no longer know where it starts, begins, or ends. So, anything...
Like a snake.
It just keeps fucking going. They've got a highlights channel, they've got a podcast channel, they've got the standard channel. I think Ethan has his own YouTube channel. Like, it's a whole thing. And there's like Teddy Fresh and all that. So those are there. You know of them. If you don't know of them, just type H3 anywhere and you'll find them. Another channel called Nicole Rifey? Bitch, I'm gonna butcher everyone's name here. Amanda Todd Hunter. This one's my personal favorite, Skinny Tea. And then Isabella Lee Sarah, full legal name, I will say. Bold of you to post Trisha Paytas and Ethan Klein with your full legal name on the internet.
Very bold.
But you
Very
have no
silly.
right to talk with your full legal name being your Discord name, but go off, gang.
True.
So my first note is to address both Ethan Klein and Trisha Paytas and how they both deserve a podcast in their own right, in which we've already gone over. So good for me, PowerPoint queen. So firstly, let's address, what the fuck is Frenemies? How did it start? Where did it come from? And what the fuck happened, I guess. So the biggest thing with Frenemies, to my knowledge, to most people's knowledge and recollection, because Ethan has said this publicly on record, is that basically Trisha had gone on many of the original H3 podcasts, which used to be done at this like fucking like medieval round table-esque fucking thing where he would have like a bunch of different famous like people on, which ranged from, by the way, like Jordan Peterson to like Post Malone. Yeah, he had everyone. This is granted years ago, but I feel like we forget about this, and it's insane to me because I forget about this actually. That like Ethan like had like literally had just everybody, and to be fair, he played the game and he played it fucking well. Like, I will say, because, you know, he got literally basically anyone he wanted. That wasn't like, you know, fucking Ariana Grande level of fame. But he played the game pretty good, and he still plays the game pretty good. But Trisha had gone on a few, and specifically the ones that Trisha had gone on a few, or maybe more than once. I'm not 100% sure on this detail. I'm a bit fuzzy on it. But what I do know is how Trisha met Ethan's brother-in-law, Moses, who is his wife's brother. Which, you might be saying, if you don't know the drama, why is that important? We'll get there. It all takes time. We got to set up the foundation before we build the fucking house. So basically, the way they met was through a fun little cute thing Aisha used to do, which, you know what, you'll never guess. After this, they never did again. Which was a dating show where they would invite, traditionally it started with cast of H3H3, however, worked under the umbrella. And then whether it be like associates of the H3H3 or like just friends of the crew and cast, they would just basically put their employees up, have them go on like this cute little dating show where they'd show pictures and basically play like real life Tinder with their employees right there with like the consent of the people who were like on the slideshows and stuff. Now,
I can already see how this would turn into a flaming ball of no goodness.
Believe it or not, believe it or not, they have a 100% track record, I believe. I believe everyone who had gone on that show are still in a relationship to this day, including Trisha, which is Moses, Ela, who is Ethan's wife, Ethan and Ela Klein, and then Moses and Trisha Paytas. Moses Achman, I think, something like that. I don't know the pronunciation. And then Trisha Paytas. Those are our dynamic couples, if you will. And then, you know, the fucking, what's that? Is it a Venn diagram when there's like two circles and there's a middle part? Mm-hmm. So the middle of our Venn diagram is the Ethan and Trisha. Because, well, I guess technically not at the time. But now, in hindsight, Moses does not associate with any of the Kleins in the family at all, and will not talk to them. And so this was like their middle ground, was Trisha and Ethan, who would talk to each other and do the podcast, and then you had Ela and Moses, who also, I will say, although Ela was a internet personality, at the time, and still to this day, is kind of fading out of internet fame, out of choice, I will add. She runs a fashion business now all by herself, and she just does that mainly. That's like her passion. So she really only shows up occasionally, and she'll only show up, I think, a total of twice on Frenemies, if even that. I think it might have actually been once, but I'm giving generous estimations. So she really doesn't do that much, and then Moses never did. Still to this day, don't know what Moses does. Trisha says he took pictures of water. I'm not entirely sure what that means, nor do I think I'll ever understand what that means. But water.
That doesn't sound very dynamic, but I guess to each their own.
I think he was a photographer, I would assume, but I don't know. Okay, so now that we've gone through basically our like setup, after Trisha had gone through the dating show, Ethan had decided, and had been on the fence, according to him. Once again, this is all by him, which, I mean, granted, I'm not trying to put a shadow of the doubt on him. But with Trisha and Ethan Klein, I need to put a lot of fucking, disclaimers of, like, you know, opinion, not fact. Technically, I don't know. We're all just making assumptions here. They're internet celebrities. I can talk about them. I'm not going to catch a case. So,
correct.
Basically, to my knowledge, Ethan was like, I would love to have another podcast in my repertoire, because at the time he was only doing the H3 podcast, and he wanted to actually create a production out of H3. He wanted to make the company of H3 like a podcast production, which, Jack, you may not know, but I'm sure a lot of viewers will know, like how TMG has done. TMG is a massive podcasting network now, and they have an array of podcasting networks, and it all started with Cody Ko and Noel Miller. And to my knowledge, Ethan was trying to do the same thing they did, where his podcast was popular, so he decided to branch his podcast into a podcast company, because he was basically already doing that, and have more podcasts under his belt. And so he decided, I would like to do this with a female co-host, because I think that could be a really fun and interesting dynamic, and not something you see very often. Ethan Klein, girl comedian, was his goal. And somehow he landed on Trisha Paytas. Now, Now, would I call Trisha Paytas a comedian? No. Would I call her comical? Yes. Because love her or hate her, you have to admit, motherfucker, she is an icon. She is honestly at this point a breathing internet legend. She is quite literally the original generation of YouTube, and every motherfucker who is like, honestly at this point, like 30 or younger knows who Trisha Paytas is, has at least heard the name once in their life, and has a vague understanding. Oh yeah, she's that one girl. So
I love you, Jesus girl.
I love you, Jesus. I'm a chicken nugget. A big one that's popping up on TikTok now is in one of her music videos. She pretends to be in a war, and she's like scream crying, no! And people are like superimposing and green screening that over like them like losing a Valorant 1v1 or something. It's quite fucking funny. So I want to get into our quick first clip, and our first like kind of set of clips, which once again I will have the channels link below where I got these. So Jack, if I can bring you to our little demonstration area that we've established. So this is gonna be our first one, which if the viewer cannot read, or actually the viewer can't see it, it is titled 2 years later, and Frenemies still continues to be the most iconic podcast ever. And we're just gonna like watch, we'll interject a bit. I probably won't watch the full thing, I'll probably skip a few because it's 10 minutes long, but
get out of here.
I love Jewish people.
Don't you find it odd to say I love Jewish people just as a general statement?
People do say that. They think it's like weird, like I like fetishize or obsess over Jews, but I just love them.
What
They're
do
so
you
interesting.
What do you love
Love
about
them.
Jews?
They're so
no, look at those eyes. Look at those eyes and tell me that's got good intent. Look at those eyes. I just love Jewish people. Oh my god. This is why people hate blue-eyed people. I don't even know that she's got blue eyes, but fuck, do they pierce through my soul? And she's not even looking at me.
Very intense.
so different.
Really? Do you find me to be different?
Well, just Jews in general. Like you guys have such like
Just Jews in general are different. You know, they're just different.
traditions, you know, like let's fast in September.
What?
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that fast.
No, but like
That's
you guys have
fast.
it, like the
in
New Year's
Sept-
coming up, right? So like this weekend's a New Year, and it's like who just decides?
Look at his face.
Like,
Look at his face.
Who just decides that?
The New Year is January 1st, but Jews are like September.
But you know
16th,
the Jews were
19th.
The Jews just decided it. Jews just decided it. There was no, like, actual reasoning or religious value. The Jews just decided it, didn't you know?
doing the New Year before January 1st, New Year.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I don't know much about it. I just
Yeah, sure. Okay, we're gonna skip past this. I think this one goes on for quite a bit. This bunny outfit is iconic.
agree.
But
I
glamorous.
agree. No,
I do
you're
like
like
glamorous.
you're like the traditional fat girl that has a pretty face. Like, oh my god, your face is so pretty. Like that is your face.
Oh, that's so nice of you.
Yeah.
What? Did she just call him fat?
Oh, yeah. So, if you don't know... Okay, the hood's off, I guess. We're not going in the ones anywhere. If you don't know, they call each other fat constantly. But, to be clear, it's in a very... I mean, it is in a mean way. I'm not going to say it's not. But a lot of times, it's in a way of, like, I think more so trying to be authentic. At one point, Ethan describes being plus size and being somebody who is bigger in general. Is like having an addiction, but it's visible. It's not like alcohol or drugs, because obviously it can get visual, but most people who are doing cocaine off of a man's cock in a bar, you can't see it, you know, in their thighs. Whereas Ethan was talking about how it sucks to be plus size because it's an addiction that everyone sees and judges you on, like, no matter what. Like, there is no way to hide it. And one of the YouTubers I watched was, like, talking about how that was, like, a really interesting and nuanced way to describe, like, being plus size and what it means to be plus size. So they're going to call each other fat a lot.
Okay, that's good to know.
Actually, during one of the fights, I mean, granted, I shouldn't have to issue trigger warnings because, bitch, if you know Frenemies, you should know. But I believe Trisha Paytas goes on a whole tirade going, "You're a fat fuck, you're a fat fucking fuck, fat." And it's like a whole thing. So everyone, you know, strap in.
That girl with the pretty face.
No, that's what people say to me. They're like, you'd be so pretty if you lost 30 pounds. Like, telling me, I'm like, well, what did Hitler do? That was so bad.
Oh my god.
And then he told me.
I have to beat you. I have.
If you couldn't hear that, she said, and what did Hitler do that was so bad? Because she, in fact, was confused on the Holocaust and did not understand what Hitler had done. In this clip, in regards to the Holocaust. Oh, we'll
to beat you. I can't lose to you. Love Egypt. Why do you love Egypt so much?
I just found out it was real on your show on H3.
That's what I'm. That's why
Oh
I'm
my
so.
God.
Just found out Egypt was real. I mean, you know what?
So, kids,
And-
this is the PSA to stay in school.
Egypt is, well, did you know Egypt is a city in the country of Africa?
Uh,
That's something most people don't know about.
Ready?
Whoever created gravity, someone did, but we don't actually need it.
There
Like,
was
we
a
could have
time
just
on.
all.
There was a time on Earth before gravity existed.
Yes.
Oh.
Who created gravity, babe? Dan.
It was
Well,
Isaac Newton.
you-
You're right.
You were
I'm
in the
over it.
right ballpark. So
So,
I'm over it.
to be clear, this is on a, I think, an Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader episode where they were talking about, or just doing general trivia, and I cannot remember what the question was. I think it might have been maybe, what is the formula for gravity or something like that? And Trisha chimes in and goes, did you know we didn't need gravity? And Ethan goes, what? And she goes, gravity, we don't need it. And Ethan promptly is like, what do you mean by that? And then she goes on this tirade about how before gravity was created and invented by Mr. Newton himself, if you will, we just didn't have it, and nor did we need it.
Oh, okay.
And honestly, I agree.
So you drinking the dumb bitch juice too?
Let's see.
Genuinely don't care
Like
about
you go-
you, but the thinnest.
Oh wait, let's
You
see
mean
what that is.
that we don't need gravity? I don't understand
Oh
that
wait,
statement.
sorry. I guess this goes on for like over a minute. My bad. This whole gravity segment.
We have Patrick Starr doing his Beetlejuice tutorial. Okay, first of all, I'm a huge fan of Beetlejuice. My nails are Beetlejuice.
Isn't that SpongeBob
Yes, she is dressed up as Jennifer's body, by the way.
character?
Oh, that's cool.
Patrick Starr? No, I'm serious.
Oh, Patrick Starr.
Yeah. Isn't that his name?
Oh, there's also a beauty guru named.
Okay. This is the fight episode. For now, we're gonna get back to the regular podcast because I honestly could just sit here and watch this all fucking day, so I really shouldn't. But so there's a little bit of an introduction to their dynamic, if you will, and some of the things that went viral. We'll see more viral clips later, and we'll see the fights later. But yeah. So firstly, Trisha, obsessed with Jewish people. Obsessed with Jewish people, obsessed with Jewish men in specific, very much teeters on the line of fetishization. And granted, I'm not Jewish, so truly, I don't have the authority to say that she fetishizes Jewish people. However, if I were, I would be very uncomfortable and think she's fetishizing Jewish people, which she has done famously, and she is now married to a Jewish man. So, get your bag, I guess, If you fetishize people, you'll get them, I guess, is the lesson to be learned. She also has this weird obsession, which we didn't see in the clips, that she believes I do believe she has said it's every person, no matter the gender. However, I'm going to say men for now, because I'm not 100% on that one. She has definitely said, though, she believes every man wants to fuck her, no matter who they are.
Oh,
And she said this to Ethan's face and said, that includes you, to which he said, you think I want to fuck you? To which she responded saying, yes, you do. To which he responded saying, I'm in a committed relationship with 2 children. I really am not interested. To which she then insisted that he, in fact, was. And that was an ongoing thing that happened during many podcasts, that she would insist that he wants to fuck her.
very awkward.
Uh-huh. Another thing that was a great moment, the amount of times that these two had made jokes about either being canceled or the podcast going up in flames or Trisha going off the rails and them never speaking again, is astronomical. And I will say, I'm not one of those manifestation bitches. These two changed that. I do believe in manifestation. 1 million subscribers. Here we come. Because, bitch, wow. And when I tell you it's a lot, I think they've made a joke about it at least every episode. Like, this was not like they only did 2 times or something like that. Like, no. Like, it was out of the 40 to 50 to 60 episodes they did, I'd wager a good 50% of them had a joke about them ending, getting canceled, etc. So we lightly touched on this. However, it is really important to mention Schindler's List. Trisha Paytas, prior to going on the show, never watched it. What was her response to Schindler's List? It was really sad. She couldn't, quote, It was so sad I couldn't finish it or my macaroni that she was eating whilst watching it. And that she also
ruined macaroni time for her.
It did, yes. And you know what? I do think that truly that should be talked about a little bit more since we're so focused on the Holocaust. But beyond that, of course, it was also in black and white and wasn't that interesting. Why isn't it in color? Was her comment, question, and concern. And you know what? She's right. Why isn't it in color? Also, why doesn't it have audio? That's weird. Anyways, hates Jack's Films. Now, I don't think you know who Jack's Films is, and honestly, I don't really either. However, the hatred this woman has for him goes above and beyond to a point where something that I realistically should not be relevant to this is most certainly relevant, because, like, this is, like, multiple times, and also still to this day, like, I'm pretty sure she still talks about how, like, much she hates Jack's Films. And it's interesting because from what we know, he literally didn't do anything except for at one point, firstly, actually, this is important because Jack's Films and Trisha Paytas have on the record only ever met a handful of times, on the record only ever spoken once. So
then what's the hate bomb?
Yes, so the question comes, why do you hate this man so much? Apparently, according to Trisha Paytas, at a function, to quote, they were sitting at the same table, and he is, in her mind, misogynistic because he wouldn't talk to her because she was a woman. And now, Jack's Films has recently made a statement about this on the H3 podcast, where he was questioned on it. And Jack's Films said that he did not understand what she was talking about, and that the only time he can remember them ever sitting with each other was at the Streamies, in which he did not associate with her because it was a table of 8 to 10 content creators all at one table, and for whatever reason he couldn't remember, he wanted to stay away from Trisha because, let's be fucking honest, she's a brand risk. Because this is also not recent Trisha, where everyone loves Trisha now, / I don't know. Trisha has such a tumultuous relationship with the internet, which again will be discussed eventually. But it was during one of the times where she was hated, I guess. So he was like, I just didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And you know what? Me too, Jack. Film.
Makes sense.
Except for Trish Paytas, if you want to come on my podcast, you are welcome. I will ride or die for you if you come on my podcast. Fuck Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein, if you want to come on my podcast or have me on your podcast, fuck Trish Paytas. She's a stupid ass fake bitch, and she should not have done that to you. Anyways, another thing I want to address, the fits. The fits were immaculate. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Both Trisha and Ethan during Halloween season, and even sometimes not in Halloween season, brought it to the table every time. As Beyonce would say, 10, 10, 10s across the board. They ate. 8. They both committed to every single fit, every single time. And the best part is, I believe almost every breakup they had was whilst they were dressed up for something. So it really does add to the really intense feeling when Uncle Fester is fighting with Jennifer's body. About how he's gaslighting her. So, moving on, speaking...
It's a really interesting observation.
Well, Uncle Fester wasn't
They've
fucking
both
around.
been dressed as God knows what.
They started off, I should say, not on theme, but then eventually would coordinate the outfits with each other, eventually. But, it started off, not on theme, so as we saw, Ethan was, was James Charles when Trisha Paytas was I don't even remember who Trisha was, but Trisha was a pink bunny, just a Playboy bunny, pink Playboy bunny. Ethan was also Jeffree Star at one point. I don't remember who Trisha was in that episode, but it was something far-fetched and out there. They did a collaborative, as you can see on screen, viewers, Britney Spears and, oh no, I can't remember his name. They went to Coachella in the all jean outfit. What was his name? Justin Timberlake. The jean fit for Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears, they did that outfit, which was sickening. But, speaking of the fights, let's talk about the breakups. The first. Now, this occurs, once again, while they are dressed up as Uncle Fester, from the Addams Family, is Ethan Klein. And for the role of Jennifer from Jennifer's Body will be played by Trisha Paytas. Now,
Which that in itself, I feel like, is thematic, you know?
Well, yeah, because Jennifer famously, had a thing for Uncle Fester, and Uncle Fester famously was not reciprocated, and so they got into
Canon.
fights.
Yes.
Yes, as we all know,
Yes.
in the Addams Family, fucking Jennifer's Body multiverse of madness.
Yep. The
to-
crossovers.
For a disclaimer, because we are going to watch the fight, I want to say something. Trisha Paytas is, and I do not mean this lightly, clinically mentally ill. Like, to the point where
Very ill.
she has been, and this is, by the way, this is not me assuming, this is not me, like, reaching, this is not me playing armchair therapist, bitch, I have no right. No, she has quite literally self-admittedly been checked into psych wards, like different types of things, whether it be for drug addiction, like mental disorders, like mentally like breaking and like having a manic episode and manic attacks. So I want to make it very clear before we get into this, it's not an excuse, but it is a reason why she is so sporadic. And as much as I don't want to say give her some grace, I do think Trisha Paytas deserves a little bit more grace than what you would usually give to people online, strictly because she is so severely mentally ill. And also, we don't entirely know what she's on, what is in her body. Not to say that she's abusing illegal drugs, because I mean what she's on in the medical sense. Because she did at one point mention how she had started a new medical drug for her mental illness, like through doctors, like everything done properly. But also, when a mentally ill person goes on a drug that changes your chemistry, you tend to not have to adapt to that, and your body, and your mind acts very differently than what it does originally. So just a little bit of grace period in that. However, I'm spending about 5 minutes on this disclaimer because shit's gonna get wild. So indulge me as we check out our first fight. Which, by the way, the starting scene already. Trisha, arms on the chair, and Ethan like a bug
eyes. Yeah. His eyes.
He said he's texting the workers group chat right now, like, be sure all sharp objects are locked. Put the guns in the safe. Okay, let's watch.
Having 2 Christmases, 2 birthdays
So this is 21 minutes, so.
ain't a bad thing.
You saying turned out fine. I was like, oh shit.
Oh my God, look who's talking.
I would
Cut!
I would never
You
say I turned out
have
fine.
the most dysfunctional family.
I literally would never say I turned out fine. Even though I did. I turned out
I love her face. Her face is like a tiger ready to like jump on a little bunny rabbit. Like you see it. There is, once again,
the fake blood doesn't help either.
And not to have your therapist, but this bitch's eyes have knives. No, actually, sniper rifles fucking in them.
okay. I'm
No,
functional.
just because you make money doesn't
No,
mean
but you're
okay.
way crazier than me.
That's so not true.
No, but you're way crazier than me.
That's not true.
Bro, that's objectively true.
You hide it more, just like Mikey, who hides shit.
Oh, really?
It all gets brought.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Clam and Gore is catching strays. Mind you, this is when all like the racist shit about Clam and Gore came out, which she'll also get a podcast at some point. But good for you, Mikey. You got some strays caught in the middle of this fight. Everyone hit the deck because she's gonna fucking get all of us.
To the surface
I don't hide
later
it.
on.
She's about to go in that stupid Enigma, bitch.
Thing. I literally don't. You literally just said how honest I am, and you respect that about
But
me.
you hide the crazy, is what I'm saying. Yeah, you
I don't
share
hide.
a lot.
I will also say, first and foremost, because I'm firstly gonna majorly probably come off as like a Trisha Paytas apologist to a lot of points, because I do believe that at the end of the day, Trisha is responsible for her actions, but I don't think Ethan got nearly as much flack as she did when he definitely should have. Like, I'm sorry, when you see she's getting this volatile, no shot do you go, you're crazier than I am. Are you fucking delusional? I'm sorry, you had to have known this is where this was going when you tried to do a, no, you're crazier than me, like, push with her. And I'm not saying that he's not justified in clapping back at her, because, frankly, she did fucking basically come after him, his family, and his own sanity and all that. However, you know who Trisha Paytas is. Bold of you to have been like, you're crazier than I am, and expect her not to jump over the table and choke you.
I don't hide.
You do hide the crazy.
I'm all out there with
You
no
don't talk
fucking
about-
eyebrows and everything.
You were into pills. You never talk about that you were a pill addict for a minute.
Holy shit. Yeah, no, that face is deserved. what did she just come out with?
that he was a pill addict, to quote.
Dear
which
God.
I will say, by the way, her whole thing here, which I hate to say this, I actually get what Trisha is saying at this point. Not that I think it's right, because it's not, but I get what she's saying, because in this moment, she's trying to make the point, like, Ethan, it's okay for Ethan to basically spill Trisha's drama, life, trauma, talk about, like, things that, like, she has in her personal life, but Ethan's drama and life is, like, supposed to be off the record and not on. And, I will say, she did it in a very, incorrect, morally reprehensible way, but she does go on to explain that. I don't think she explains herself well, but so I'm putting this pretense in, and that's like what she meant. Once again, it's not justified. She is a psycho bitch for that. Like, cut, dry. That's insane that you would just be like, well, you're on pills and you don't talk about that. Okay, let's tone it back. Let's everyone drink a little glass of water for a minute here. Fucking pop an edible. But she is trying to make the point of, like, it's not fair that my life can be on blast, but yours can't. And she is 100% not, like, right about it, but she's also not entirely wrong about it either, because that was...
You kind of see her point.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. If she didn't say it in such an abhorrent way, I would have been like, damn, Trisha, you right. Like, go off, queen. But at the end of the day, you know, she kind of ruined her point by being like, you know, you do pills.
Yeah, you said that. You said you were really into pills, and you don't talk about that.
Why do I need to talk about that?
Because that's being open. That you're judging me for being crazy, taking pills or
Yeah, but
whatever.
the
I
eyes
take
are crazy,
pills or whatever.
man.
But you've done it too, and you're just not open about it.
Crazy.
I don't think that is a defining characteristic
Like
of who I am.
I
need to
think
talk
that is a
about it.
big thing. That makes sense. Why? Because you're on medication now, and there's no shame or judgment in it. But like, hey, if you're gonna shame me for being off meds, you should say, hey, I'm on meds.
I'm not shaming you for being off meds.
That's what it sounds like.
I
You
just
just
think
called me
you're
crazy,
But here's
which
what you
means
do.
I'm off
You know what
medication.
you
A moment of
did?
escalation.
You're trying to see. This is why you are such a dangerous person, especially to
Once again, I understand, Ethan. This is a high, intense situation. All intense situations are hard to navigate. I get it. I, in an intense situation, called my aunt a cunt one time. It happens. That, once again, not the move, girl. Not the fucking move. To be like, this is why no one talks to you, and this is why no one trusts you, and this is why you're such a violent and volatile person. Like, crazy of you to do that. And admittedly, you are actually, this is the best way. You're trying to fight fire with fire here. However, you're a campfire, she's a forest fire. It's not gonna fucking end good for you. You are gonna get engulfed.
to be close with, because you'll take something that I've told you. You'll
Oh my
take
God, the
something
laugh.
that somebody told you in confidence, and you'll use it. You'll weaponize it against them.
That's not true.
That's what you just did.
No,
And luckily
no,
for you, I don't
no.
care. And I'm
Yes,
okay
it
with
is what
it.
you
Oh,
just
go,
did.
oh, well, you're. I told you an.
He's right. He just shouldn't have. He should have started it differently, honestly, because he made a good point. But the way he was like, and this is why no one talks to you, Trisha.
Anecdote about how I used
Exactly.
to take like what's like
Okay.
tramadol back in Israel when I was like bored in a dead end job, and you literally just weaponized
I
that
didn't.
against me.
You called me crazy, knowing my history.
Bro,
you
we
called me
always
crazy.
call you crazy. You're like upfront
but
crazy.
if you're gonna call me crazy, then I'm gonna say,
Yeah,
hey,
but
why
then
don't
you-
you own
but you-
up to what you've done? That's
That
also
doesn't make
crazy.
me crazy. Okay, I'm joking around, and then you go, okay, so what do I have to
No.
weaponize against Ethan? Oh, he
Oh.
told me he used to take pills in Israel. I don't think he's
No.
ever said that.
I
So
have-
here, I'm going to drop
Oh.
that on him.
You want me to weaponize you? Because I have things I could actually weaponize
But
you
this
with,
is
and
what
I
I'm
don't.
talking about.
No, but I do it. There's certain
You
things.
just did it.
I had to. My
The machine
brain,
guns are out now.
My brain took such a second to process that. I did not realize what she had just said until you gasped, and I was like, "Wait a minute, play that back in my head." And then I didn't. I was like, "Whoa, girl, what do we think she's about
Dear
to say?
Lord.
What do you think she's about to whip out?"
I don't know. I'm scared. Because now the crazy in her eyes has ratcheted up to 19 on the 10-point scale.
She's gonna expose him for tax fraud. She's about to like say his full sin number just out there. 268-498.
Moses knows there's certain things about him I would
And you
never
just
say.
threatened me with doing it more. That's why
Because
you're
you
so
are-
dangerous. You can't do that.
No, I didn't. Because
You do
I
that
didn't
to
say it.
everybody.
I know
Well, you
personal things
did.
about you, and do I say it? No.
You literally
You
just
quite
did.
literally, yeah.
That's not that personal because you just called me crazy being off my medication. So therefore,
I
I'm gonna be
didn't
like,
say anything
you
about being
just
off
said-
your medicine.
And then you asked me how.
I literally didn't mention being off your medicine.
Then you asked me.
I said you're crazier
you said,
than me.
Oh, I said you're not open and honest about everything. You're like, yes, I am open. I'm like, are you though? And then you were pushing.
It's
and
not
pushing
that
and
I'm
pushing.
hiding that I took pills. It's just you used
Ethan,
it. It's not a.
push somebody to the level of like saying this, and this, and then also be like, now you're weaponizing me. You push and push and push constantly.
Nah, you're
you
fucked
do.
up.
Okay, so firstly, honestly,
Just look at their eyes in the still
even
screen
notice.
right here.
yeah, just ladies. This is where
Dear
this is
God.
this is where God comes in and goes, okay, now everyone breathe.
Mhm.
I will say this is where I think Trisha makes probably her last good point, but it is a really, really good point, in my opinion, especially knowing in hindsight the rest of Frenemies. Ethan does poke the bear a lot. It's not even just like a Trisha thing. It's clearly like his nature thing. It's like probably one of the reasons, if not the reason, why he like has become such a successful podcast host and content creator. He pokes the bear a lot, and Trisha makes actually a really good point here in the sense of, hey, you poke the bear, don't be upset when you get the claws, which is true. However, is it claws or is it a fucking machine gun / bazooka rocket launcher ass bitch being shot back?
Yeah.
Because this ain't
Yeah.
claws. This is, you did pills. What about it? Okay, Trisha.
You're fucked up. You're the pusher and the gaslighter and be like, oh my God, how could you say that about me? Meanwhile, this whole time being like,
I'm not
you're crazy,
saying-
you're fat,
I'm
you're
just
this, you're this. Oh, we're just joking, but then you go to another level. No,
Everything
it
I'm
doesn't
talking
work
about
that
is
way.
on the table, right?
Okay, mine's on the table too. Mine,
Everything
no.
we always talk about. So, but you're like, okay, what can I
No.
use to really hit him right
no,
now?
that's
what you do.
fucking gaslighting 101.
Bro, I'm not
Yes, you
gaslighting.
are,
This is what you
be
do to
like-
people.
No.
I'm just telling
After
you.
you just push and push and push.
I don't-
Every
I'm not
single episode
pushing.
you do. You
I don't
do.
think
you
I've
push
ever
so
heard
hard.
Trisha use
you
the
get
term
that for
gaslight
We're
everything,
after
goofing
Frenemies,
around. It's
by the
all
way.
here. I'm not like.
Crazy and
Which is
moving
probably because she
around,
used
that's
it
so
wrong.
offensive.
Okay, I mean, I've called you crazy a lot. I don't know that it's so offensive to you.
In this situation, yes.
Okay, but
So
like,
don't come for me saying I'm weaponizing you when you
But
push
then
me.
say, you know what? I don't appreciate you calling me crazy instead
Call
of
me
being.
crazy. I'll say everything. It's
She's
not
about
what
to
do I
call it
weaponize
myself.
myself?
So why
can
should
feel
I?
like
Do I
Why should
weaponize myself by being like,
Why
hey, guess
should
what?
anybody
Fucking off my
ever
meds.
confide in you?
She's
I'm not saying
cooking
you
it up.
I
should.
never said you're off
You
your
didn't
meds.
confide in me. You're not like, hey, I gotta tell you something real serious. Like, oh yeah,
And
pills are
God
fun.
forbid anyone ever does that.
So rude. Well, you know what?
No, it's not.
Your life is sad and pathetic, and mine is happy, thriving. So good
Mine is
luck.
not
Have
sad.
fun on your beach.
Me
Aw.
missing all of my assignments in the semester, emailing my prof. I'm sorry that your life is sad and pathetic and mine is happy and thriving. Yeah, you delusional ass bitch. Go off.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Beach weekend,
And we are only 4 minutes.
eating room service, trying to get pregnant. Have fun with that.
Actually, so this is an interesting point that I found from one of the people of the video, which I can't remember off the top of my head. But one of the videos I watched, which was a recap of this, is people were theorizing and talking about how a lot of these spirals ended up happening every episode that Ethan talked about him and Hila's pregnancy journey. And something that is well known from both this podcast as well as Trisha like talking about it very openly on other avenues of media is her insecurity around pregnancy, and specifically her like triggeredness around the topic of pregnancy because she was deemed to be infertile by many doctors, and she always wanted to be a mother who could, what's it called, like give birth essentially. And she always wanted to live the whole like having a baby, like the pregnancy, everything. And so it is something that was a very touchy and sensitive topic for her. And so in hindsight, a lot of people, and I'm not sure that I 100% agree with this, I think it plays a part into it for sure. But I will also say, I think that it sounds like there was a lot going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about and will never know about. But I would say definitely this probably was like either a catalyst or like definitely a fucking little hole in the dam that would start the little water to come out. And
Yeah, a little trigger point.
Yeah, exactly. Because she does do this a lot where she'll bring up, she'll question Ethan's parenting. She will bring up Ethan's parenting. She'll talk about like them trying for a baby. Because at this point, I believe now they are confirmed pregnant with their third child on the way. But at this point, they were trying for their third child. And she was in her feels about it. I think a big thing too is also to my knowledge, her boyfriend, Hila's brother, Moses, was not positively reciprocating to having babies because, to be fair, at the time, I want to say they were 3 months into a relationship at this fight. So he did not want a baby, and Trisha did want a baby with him. Granted, now they're married and had a baby, so I guess we could have just fucking cut our losses early, but the fuck do I know?
That doesn't sound sad and pathetic. That sounds like a good family life. Like I have good, fulfilling, and good deep roots with a wife that I've been married to for a long time. I've got a family that we're trying to build, and I've got stability in my life.
There's something right there I could weaponize, but I'm not going to. You know why? Because you push and push, and I'm not going to push on your buttons the way you push on other people's buttons.
I wouldn't even.
Me, when my profs tell me I haven't handed any assignments, you know, I could weaponize something right here about me being queer and you pressuring a queer person, but I won't.
Say, oh, there's something I could weaponize. I wouldn't even say that.
Because you're saying I weaponize and I don't. There's a perfect time to go in there and be like, actually, this.
Well, because obviously you have. I don't know what
Yeah,
you're
and
thinking
you know what's
about,
crazy?
but,
I don't
like,
think
And
most
I don't consider
humans,
weaponizing. I'm very
like,
open about
do
everything.
that in
If
their
someone brings
mind.
up something that I
I
don't
feel
want
like
you to bring up
when
with,
people
I'll
are having a
openly talk about
conversation,
it.
they
Fine,
don't
whatever.
instantly
That's just
go,
fucking me. Like, I don't care.
I
I'll talk
could
about it.
weaponize
It's
this
not
right now.
weaponizing just because I
But
bring
I
something
won't.
up.
I think
it
people
does
just
work.
don't
I'm just
weaponize
saying,
it.
I'm just trying to tell you of something you do.
No.
I'm just trying to be honest. I think you have this
Well, you're
issue.
wrong on this one.
But why do you
Sorry.
think that like all your friendships, like a lot of your friendships go
I've
to
had
shit?
friends for so many
And
years.
all of your boyfriends and
her.
relationships. That's what I'm worried about
Boyfriends is
Moses, is
different.
that she's got a Rolodex
Get her.
of all
Where's
this
my
shit on
plan?
you. And then when shit goes wrong, she's going to try to ruin
Shit
your
has
fucking
gone
life.
wrong, and I don't expose stuff I know. Like, it's,
Well, yes, you did.
no, I didn't.
Well, you did accuse him of fucking kind of flirting with underage
Play
girls.
Beyonce's
Oh.
theme.
That wasn't it.
Fan him
That
up! Fan
Yeah,
him
that was
up!
kind of fucked up.
No, we.
You're like,
He should have ended that speech with, Uncle Johnny made my dress that cheap spandex to look a mess.
oh, I had a fight. I'm going to accuse him of being with underage
First,
girls.
I'm not accusing him of everything. The
I'm
DMs
just-
were out there. They were publicly put out there.
Yeah,
all the DMs.
they were posted by your alt account and it had like 3 likes.
We know that wasn't me.
I'm also
The laugh track in the back.
I'm also not going to entirely speak to this because I still don't know. We are going to touch upon there is domestic violence allegations that Trisha domestically abused Moses at points, and there are allegations
Oh my
of
God.
Moses texting underage girls. However, I personally am not 100% about them. I will address the I'm going to right now address these allegations are out there, but how do I put this? Frenemies is already a pretty fucking out there and gone topic. And as much as I would love to cover, well, I shouldn't say that. As much as I would, in the idea of efficacy, cover that, I think there's enough that we are going to talk about to establish what Frenemies, and it's mainly supposed to be about Frenemies, and when I do the Trisha episode, I will most likely touch on specifically the domestic violence allegations. Moses is not famous enough or not so much famous enough. Moses is not someone I'm looking to do anything on because there's just not enough there. But for a blanket statement, me and Jack are both believe all victims people, and I'm pretty sure what could be done has been done, to my knowledge. And there's not really more to do. And especially, I'm pretty sure as with most victims, these people probably just want to move on. So, considering this is now something that, to my knowledge, was quote-unquote handled, for lack of a better term, literal years ago, I'm not going to re-bring that up. I'm not going to use names. I'm not going to say anything like that, because most people in that situation, since it's quote-unquote handled, probably don't want to rehash it. So that's our statement on that.
Literally had
It's been
3 likes.
confirmed.
Okay, but anyway, not confirmed by me. I'm just saying it's not cool to be like, oh, well, you're addicted to pills.
And I've had friends for a very long time. I have friendships that have lasted well over 10 years, and I'm still friends with Andrew,
Jeffree
Michael,
Star just
Shane.
unfollowed you. I'm
Jeffree,
just
I've
kidding.
been friends with
Not
for like
Shane
a year and a
Dawson,
half.
by the
Oh,
way.
that's kidding. See, that would also be considered. Oh, that's
That
not
was
something
in the
against me,
Frenemies
but now
saga.
it's a joke because why?
Well,
You're a
you're the one
comedian.
that told me
Oh,
he
I'm on a
unfollowed
podcast.
you.
It's funny. Anything you say, those are jokes. Those are jokes.
It's
He's
all on the
you
table.
weaponize. This is how guys do it with girls. Oh my God, you
That
weaponize.
pill
but
story I
me-
told you wasn't on the table.
Okay, but that's not weaponizing. You
Yes,
talk about
it is.
Oh, really? You talk about stuff all the time that's like, what about when you push me to show you how much I made on that video? You're like, you do this. You were fucking being an asshole.
It's all on the table,
It's not
though.
on the table. You forced me. You were literally like, get your phone out fucking now. Do this right now. Like,
You
you were
could've- you
so
never
fucking
told me
aggressive.
no.
I did. I said, please don't. Please edit this out. It's on the podcast. I was like begging. There was like tears in my eyes. I'm like, please edit this out because like I really didn't know.
Well, so that's me being.
This is crazy. Like, no matter how you paint it, if that's true, that is insane. However, I can't say without a shadow of a doubt I believe her. Because Ethan has literally deleted entire episodes and has gone back and cut stuff out for people that are, at least in the context, less significant to him than Trisha Paytas at this time. So I do find it a little bit hard to believe that all of that was just said about the podcast, about the drama, about like statements made is entirely true. But I will also say, I'm pretty sure all these podcast episodes are still up on the H3 channel, so I wouldn't put it past Ethan to have not cut stuff out sheerly because of the content, like, value of it. So I'm here nor there about it. But if it is true, that's crazy. As someone who has people in my videos all the time, I tell people first and foremost, like, if you want a video down, removed, something cut out, edit it out, tell me, and the video will get taken down, like, within the day. That is crazy to me if that is real, because, and especially on YouTube, it's so fucking easy. I actually think, now I think about it, that there is a built-in cut and trim. So if, like, you want to edit a specific clip out, you can, too. So it's even easier.
Being an asshole, but it's all on the table.
It's not. Okay, you weaponized it, whatever. It's not
Well,
on the
you were-
table.
you thought
you
that-
pushing someone to do something they're not comfortable with, that's that's worse. That's fucking way worse. I'm not saying I'm a saint at it or at all, but you're
I'll
awful.
tell-
You
yeah,
are awful. I
yeah,
mean, you got
I am.
better.
I am awful.
But I'm just saying
You're right,
you
but you
weaponize
can't-
people and push people, like pushing people to do stuff they don't want to do. And you've done it multiple times on multiple shows, and it's just not cool. I mean, that's why people get so annoyed with you when you interview people, which is probably why we don't have guests on this show, because people don't want to be
Guests
interviewed
on
by you.
this show?
Or
She's just dragging him.
Woo! Okay, now we put the fan out for Trisha. Fan off, fan off, fan off, fan off. Are you okay,
your
girl?
H3 show anymore. People just don't
I
want to
have
be
guests
fucking...
every week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. They're really killing it. Who was the, like, I don't even know, the doctor with coronavirus, like, good guess.
That was like 5 months ago.
Okay, well, I don't even watch your thing, but I'm just saying, like, all the guests you get,
Mhm.
I don't even watch. Why the fuck do I? You're literally on his channel. Like, you're literally... Like, this isn't even, like, posted to Trisha's channel. Like, this was all posted to Ethan Klein's channel. So that's crazy to be like, I don't even watch it. Why would I give a fuck? I don't know, because you're here co-hosting
Oh
with
my
me?
god.
they're not, Bill Burr's not coming on, Bo Burnham's not coming on, Chris Aaliyah's not coming on. You know what I'm saying? You're getting people that no one knows. Oh,
Also, no offense, who the fuck knows Chris Aaliyah anymore? Also, who the fuck cares about Chris Aaliyah anymore? Sorry, Chris Aaliyah, I really should... That, you caught a stray for no reason there, but...
Jack's Films again? Great. Good job. Good guess.
Oh, where's the Jack's film part?
Get all your
Jack's
friends.
Films.
iDubbbz. Wow, good job. You know what I mean?
I'm not, I
Like,
don't need to defend
I
the,
really
our
hope she
guest
rips
track
into Jack's
record, but
films.
I feel like we've had some bangers lately.
have you, though?
Sure.
Okay, well, let's
You
look
want me to
that
read?
up.
Sure, yeah.
Let's look
See,
that.
Whitney Cummings was just
The
posted when you
receipts.
came on. Is she acceptable to you?
Yeah, Whitney's fine.
Okay.
Good job having
That
a
was
girl
just
on. That's
today.
the other thing. You're very misogynistic and you'll
Tom
have guys
Segura
on.
and Christina
No
P.
idea
By the way, literally is co-hosting a podcast with a woman. But, you know...
who they are.
A woman who, mind you, if he was misogynistic, would not have been able to say half this shit and the camera's still running. I'm not gonna sit here and, like, you know, ride or die for Ethan, but I will say one thing, he is most certainly not misogynistic.
How many
Christina
views did they
P?
get? No idea. How many views?
Andrew Santino.
I don't think people know who these
Me looking to see if any YouTube videos this week has gotten over 10 views. How many views?
Any views?
Any views? Any views? Am I famous yet, Mom?
people are, but hey,
Famous comedians.
cool. Don't know any of them.
Well, clearly not that
Steve-O?
famous. Trisha Paytas doesn't know.
Also misogynistic, but okay, keep going.
Bobby Lee.
Ooh,
Mm.
And
Steve-O.
Koala, another female.
probably.
Mhm.
I would believe it.
We've got some really good guests coming up too. Here, I'll
Wow.
promo them right now.
Okay, promo that. I hope it gets some more.
We're gonna skip a little bit ahead to the fun part. You bitch!
She's a spicy little tater tot, I must say.
And I will say, I do feel bad for Trisha, because when you are, as someone who has mentally spiraled, when you are surrounded by people you are not comfortable with, by strangers, by people that you essentially do not give a fuck about outside of that moment, you spiral 100 times worse because you feel unsafe and you go into fight or flight and you instantly are like, okay, who, because your mind isn't, you know, how can I get out of this? Your mind is, who's going to come after me next, essentially? What's going to be thrown at me next? What do I need to defend myself from now? How can I best defend myself? Who should I go after to take the hot seat off of me, essentially? And so I can imagine why Trisha gets so volatile and why she doesn't have that moment of like, I should leave. I should get out of here. Because when you're in that moment, that is the last thing in your mind. You're literally in fight or flight, regardless of how quote-unquote dangerous or non-dangerous it is. When you've got that haze of red over your eyes, you are quite literally just throwing punches in every fucking direction, no matter who's there. Oh, it's muted.
Thing obvious.
Okay.
Was my only question to you is, who won World War II? Who won World War II? Was it the Allies or the Axis? Was it the Allies or the Axis? Who won World War II?
Quitting this.
I will say, comedic timing was perfect. Ethan is not, in my opinion, the funniest people on earth, but he does have some hits, and I remember watching this when it came out and screaming for hours. I quoted this to people, I'm pretty sure, when this happened. And still think that is such good, because I'm pretty sure we skipped. I'm pretty sure it's just like kind of just them murmuring and mumbling to each other prior to this, and then Trisha being like, "Okay, this is like the last time we're doing this. Da 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 da. Don't talk to me ever again. Fuck you. Da 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 da." And I just, you know, the comedic timing there was just perfection. Ethan Klein, like, truly, hats off to you. Best time joke.
Episode, I'm quitting. You can literally title this last episode. I'm over it.
Did the Nazis win or lose?
Quitting.
I'm over this. I'm so over this, and I really am like 100% done with the show.
So this is it?
Yeah.
So you should leave.
This is gonna be me and Livy in the middle of the podcast because we're gonna get into a fight, and then I'm just so over this. I'm just like so over this show. Like, you can just keep running, but I'm just not gonna be here.
And you leave, and it's your podcast.
Yeah. I walk off screen, and it's just my cam, me not there, like my empty chair, and Liv's little fucking avatar talking to herself.
Renegotiate.
Best part, the podcast can't even go on. Like, I have literally all the documents and all the and it's just Liv talking by herself.
My terms, and maybe I'll come back, but that's it.
Renegotiate. You already have max terms. You've maxed out.
No, I don't think so. After this today, I'm renegotiating.
You want to give me 25,000 for the set?
No.
So what do you want?
Because I haven't.
That's me to you guys. You want to give me 25,000 for the set? No.
I didn't say in the set. I didn't have a say in how it was like built or anything. I had my set designers, and like, oh, they're not available.
I tried to reach them.
Me, when this starts making money, you guys ask to get paid. No. Maybe not.
All right, whatever.
Well, good luck with this channel.
It's doing great.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's doing fine.
Okay. Cool. I'm the first to admit when mine's dying. Don't turn around and be like, what's your views? Because I'm the first to admit my channel's dying.
My channel's not
Crazy, because bitch, he didn't. Like, the way she's like, go ahead, ask me how my channel's doing. It's dying. Like, and like, no one did. Like, you just like, what is that called? Like, you self-shot. Like, you shot the rounds at your own troops right then. Like, you're supposed to be shooting at the red team, not the blue team, bitch. Your team blue. Don't shoot at fucking blue.
done.
Oh, okay. Cool. Love it. Doing better than ever?
Yeah, actually. Well, we're posting more frequently, but the views are up. It's doing really good.
Amazing. Happy for you.
But you're trying. See, what you're trying is to upset me.
Happy
But
for
it's
you.
not
Yeah,
working.
I said good for you. If you think
It's not at all.
it's doing better,
No, you're
then I'm
being
glad for you.
sarcastic.
I'm not. I think that's amazing. If it's doing good for you, then really
Good for
congrats.
you.
Yeah, I
I'm
can
so
see
happy it's
why
doing good for you.
your relationships don't work out.
I can see why you've been with the same person for 12 years.
Thank you.
You have no other options, and quite frankly, I don't blame you.
I have no. Wow,
Oh
that's a
my
really.
god.
So,
So rude.
Why would I want other options?
Mm.
I'm perfectly
I think
content.
she's serving cunt. I think
I,
honestly,
you know,
I
what, I
don't
could be
look for
mean
this.
like you, but I'm not going.
she's dressed up as Jennifer's
Also-
body. The category is cunt, and you know what? She brought it to the floor. She's
She
serving.
did. Also, his lack of eyebrows is actually very disturbing. I think perhaps it's the most disturbing part of this video because his eyebrows are so active, but they're not there.
Well, personally, the most disturbing part of this to me is that the Nazis won World War II. I think that's the most disturbing thing that we learned from this podcast. But,
Yes. Correct.
you know, I just think it's so disturbing. I couldn't even finish my macaroni.
Going to. Anything else we should discuss?
The long silence. Oh my
Just
god.
he's
Awful.
gobsmacked.
The fucking rails.
You know, to be fair,
Uncle Fester.
I would be, I would be
Whatever this shit you
shocked.
threw together
Oh
Like,
my God,
shock
mine's
is,
more
I think,
iconic.
the only human reaction
see by
you
the
can have in
TikTok
this
views.
is.
situation.
Should we make up or are we hating?
I'm literally over it. I'm so over it. I don't
Really?
even care if
I'm
Moses
not.
breaks up with me over this. Bye.
Why would Moses break up over a podcast?
Because I don't like his family. And I don't like hanging out with you guys, and you guys are awful.
Literally, by the way, Moses is in the room with her. So not only is this getting posted, Moses is in the room with her, sitting like offset with production. And then also, they're literally doing this in his sister's fucking house. Like in Elah's house, who is Moses' sister. In their house.
And that's it. And yeah, I said it.
But you liked me when we started.
No, I was trying to be nice and fun.
I said it. I said what I
I
said,
don't
and I
really
will
care
not
that much for you.
apologize.
Really? You never liked me?
Nope.
I can't.
Fake.
Oh,
You're the next to be canceled.
you're really upset.
No, I'm not. I'm fine.
Um,
Have fun. Good luck on the baby making.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Mm.
I feel that
It's
you're
back to
really upset
babies.
now.
I'm good.
You're shutting down.
No, I'm good. What else do you want to talk about?
You know, personally,
Let's
I think
talk.
she's-
Should we
I think
resolve
she's
this issue
handled
No,
this
I'm
before
over
we
it.
end
I'm
it?
with such grace and like tranquility, if you will. Those are the words I think I'd use to describe how she's handled this interaction.
Grace.
Yeah, and tranquility. I added the word tranquility in as well. Two descriptors that I would use to describe Trisha Paytas.
So over it. I'm
You just
so
said, "Let's
over it.
talk."
I'm not doing the next episode for real. I'm over it.
You just said let's talk.
Because
Me,
you said,
when
oh,
this
you're shutting
doesn't get
down. I'm like,
over
I'll talk
50
to you.
views.
Talk.
I'm not doing the next episode.
You got me
I'm
for
just
10 more
over it.
minutes.
Nah, well, we're over.
We're over time. Look,
Yeah.
it's too far.
This episode went 20 minutes too long.
Oh.
That's
Some
what
good
this
content there,
episode's
too.
about to be, all because of this one fucking video.
Anything else?
That's it.
Moses, do you want to have anything to
Girl,
say?
they keep going, by the way, after this, which is crazy.
End it. Moses.
Okay, let's see. Because the best part about this is she leaves, and Ethan is just talking by himself for like a solid minute. Just being like, well, that happened, I guess. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, here's the thing. We have not gotten to the worst part. I remember this blow up. It is the one I remember the most vividly. It is insane what she says by the end of it. And when she leaves. Bitch, I swear to fucking God. Girl, it is a 10-minute video. How am I getting 3 mid-rolls? God damn, can I get that?
No, I can see why I provoked you because I can be like asshole-ish.
It's not an asshole. It's like literally like pushing someone to do something when they're uncomfortable. That's like literally like, it's an attack. I mean, that's literally like.
Yeah, I want to skip this because we're not here for the healthy moments, are we?
No.
This podcast isn't for happy, healthy moments.
There's a
and I
way.
do-
Actually, I will say, I'll give Ethan credit, actually, prior to this, because I did kind of rip him apart by being like, you know what bear you're poking, you shouldn't poke it. He does, and it's, firstly, always too late, I will say, but he does make a decent effort into trying to de-escalate situations a lot, and I genuinely think he does manage to de-escalate them. But usually either something is said after the situation is de-escalated or like something is done in some matter of fact that ends up always ruining the de-escalation. And it's almost like every time I'm like, Ethan, you're doing so good. Why did you have to ruin it? Like always. And it's not always his fault, but it's always like he does so good and then something happens and I'm like, for fuck's sakes.
We're so close.
Yeah, and this is one of those moments. I do remember. This is one of those moments where, like, Trisha's upset, but he's trying to de-escalate it. He's trying to take accountability and blame for anything he's done wrong, etc.
Oh, and like, I
to tone
know,
it down.
yeah, whatever. There is, because I hate people just like that are you. You're the person I hate in this world.
Really?
That's so just offensive, and but they do nothing
Me
wrong.
at
and
Livy.
when people are provoked, oh, they're crazy, calling girls crazy and stuff like that. It's
Me
like,
at Ninjas.
but taking no
You
accountability.
are a person I hate the most. Like, the person I hate the most in this world. Meta ninjas every time we play Apex, and he doesn't win a 1v3.
No responsibility. You think everything's just an attack against you. Everyone's against Ethan. Like, oh my gosh, I'm always right. It's like, ugh, you and Jax don't serve each other. So
Jax? Well, I can't believe you're going after Jax. He's such
Once
a sweet
again,
guy.
Jack's just catching a strike.
All right, Trisha.
Wait,
It's
is this
you don't have-
not the fight I'm thinking
sympathetic
about?
to it.
I'm trying to resolve
It's
this.
not.
I think.
Oh my god, my schizophrenia.
I do
kicked
think
in.
you're good.
There's a fight where she literally goes, "Ela's a cunt," and like fully rips into Ela for like no reason really. Okay, but we're gonna call that video there because there's not much more. It's just Ethan kind of talking to himself about like, well, that happened, didn't it? So first fight. With every fight, we're gonna have a little town hall meeting. Everybody, order in the court, and we're gonna call this accountability corner. Because similar to the fruit videos you show your children, we're trying to stimulate. And because most people on the internet are fucking stupid babies, we need to make it simple. So, accountability corner. What do you think about the fight? What do you think could have been done better in both parties? Etc. Go. Let's hear your takes, Jack.
I just don't think there's neither party is in the clear, but I don't know if there was any getting that train back on the tracks once she was, and I don't use this word lightly, but once she went off the rails and that train was derailed, I don't know if there was anything Ethan could have done to get it back.
No.
Like, she was bound and determined to take the rocket launcher out and obliterate him.
I agree.
You know?
My biggest thing and my biggest criticism of this fight in specific, because this doesn't happen later on, so he either learned or I guess just didn't want to take the brand risk. When Trisha like says she's done and it's over, end it. Cut cameras, end it. Like, the way he kept trying to reel her back in is such and I cannot say this or like express this enough, an ignorant and frankly unintelligent thing to do. I don't want to say stupid because it's a little bit mean, because I don't expect you to know how to handle situations, a heated situation, but it really is a ignorant and unintelligent moment that when she says stop and you've noticed that especially because she says she's done, she's over it, like at least 5 to 10 times. On the third time, you need to stop.
Absolutely.
You need to cut. As the producer and as production, in my opinion, the reason why Trisha sat there so much longer, this is, once again, alleged, all my opinion, all, like, has no fucking ground. I don't know these people. But as someone who's had a mental break, not like Trisha's, but comparable to Trisha's in the sense of I understand what it's like to see red like that, if you're not in a safe place, it is really difficult to take yourself out of the situation. Not that it's not on you to do, 100% it is, but also Ethan does need to take the responsibility of this is his set, this is his crew, this is his home. At the end of the day, there is an amount of accountability that, although Trisha owes it to herself and people around her to walk away, people around her owe it to her to respect that choice. And considering this was in his house, Ethan should have just cut cameras, I think.
Oh, like 25 minutes before the end of that, he should have put a stop to this.
I think it's just
but clearly he wanted content.
And yeah, that's my biggest thing and you know what though? I get it, because at the end of the day, this was agreed upon. Like, the fights were agreed to be left in. It was agreed to not cut things out by both parties. So I don't think that he should have, like, I'm happy he didn't cut the fight out, I guess is the best way to put it. Just strictly for transparency's sake, and also because, like, it is, in my opinion, as much as Trisha Paytas is, like, a fucking, like, rampant cunt, for, like, lack of a better term, in this moment, it's insightful. It is insightful to a degree of, like, this is what it is like to have these, like, disorders that are, like, cute and quirky on the internet. Like, you know, this is the ugly that you don't see a lot. And I actually do think it is nice still to this day to have archives of like shit like this. Because like this is what happens in how like Britney Spears gets put in a conservatorship, right? Like it's shit like this isn't shown. So when Britney Spears go, I have OCD, hee hee, it's like cute and like quirky of her to say. But then Trisha Paytas has this mental breakdown and you start to see all these little fun mental illnesses that are like cute and quirky. You know, I can't wear the color purple. Like you start realizing, oh my God, no, like this person actually is like physically incapable of certain things due to something they cannot control. That is not their fault. And I do enjoy that, and that's like the biggest thing about these fights and why I personally like Frenemies. I don't want to say, I mean, I'm a Frenemies fan. It was fucking funny. But I don't want to say that like I'm a Frenemies supporter, quote unquote, because like you got like two of like the most controversial and like fucked up people on the internet together to do a podcast. I mean other than this one, of course. But I am a supporter.
I just realized what you just said.
But
I object.
But I am in support of I support trans rights and wrongs. I support mentally ill wrongs and rights. I think that both sides
We're
need to be
inclusive
seen.
here.
Yeah, but
We
truly,
believe in equity.
both sides need to be seen.
Yeah.
So moving forward, now that we've done our little accountability corner, let's talk about their coming back, because they did in fact come back together. Taylor Swift, you're a liar. We indeed did get back together. Now, when they come back, this is something I want to talk about. Dr. Drew is featured on the first episode. Jax, you know who Dr. Drew is by chance?
I do not.
Good. So, basically, Dr. Drew, for Jack and viewers who are uninformed, in my opinion, is essentially Dr. Phil, but internet. This motherfucker, who gave him his license? Genuinely. Asking for a friend of Trisha Paytas. Who gave this individual his license? He is apparently, I think, a psychologist. I'm not sure about his exact degree. He's some sort of fucking therapist that is licensed somehow. But he is one of the worst therapists I've ever seen in my life. Like, on this earth. It is crazy. Because rather than do what therapists do, because the whole theme of the episode, once they do like their quick little like introductions and like recap of the week, etc., it's couples therapy for Ethan and Trisha. Great concept, especially for a comeback. I think that's a funny episode. Great content. However, the therapist they brought quite literally never once throughout the entire episode pushes Trisha on anything, like doesn't question her, doesn't pressure her, doesn't force her to take accountability for anything, doesn't really make her admit to her wrongs or apologize. There are points where he makes her apologize, but it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, are you sorry you did it, or are you sorry you got caught? And it's very much like she's sorry she got caught, and he doesn't seem to care that she's sorry that she got caught. But with Ethan, he just railed into him about how irresponsible he is, about how he needs to like know how to like treat Trisha better, how to de-escalate better, like this is on him, da-da-da. But it's a lot of responsibility on Ethan, in which I do think the criticism is fair. However, I do not think the criticism is fair if you're not going to also criticize Trisha. If we're going to live in La La Land, where Trisha Paytas is doing no wrong, but Ethan Klein is doing all the wrong things, then we're in La La Land. Like, that's just not real. It's not true. And you need to address both or address neither, in my opinion. And like we've done on this podcast, we admit both were fucking wrong. I mean, granted, Trisha has gotten the brunt. I did call her a rampant cunt. But, I have also criticized Ethan quite heavily, as have you. And both of them do deserve criticism. And it was just crazy to me that someone who was apparently licensed could not understand the situation better than me, a fucking moron on the internet who has dropped out of 3 programs now and is on their 3rd time. Like, bitch, what? How the fuck? Who gave you a license? Where the fuck is mine? If that's all it takes.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's his podcast. He's the host.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you obviously can clearly see the signs that this is escalating and ramping up. That's on you, man, to shut that shit down. You know?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And, you know, this Dr. Drew guy is a doctor in the same way Ross Geller or you are a doctor. Technically, you're a doctor. It says doctor, but are you really? No. But will you say it? Probably, for the rest of your fucking life. And you'll probably get on your tombstone, Dr. Jack, you know, insert last name. So,
Malibu Barbie.
Dr. Jack Malibu Holocaust. After this episode, at some point, we're gonna kind of speed run these next parts because now we're basically just gonna watch the fights. But I do want to mention important things that happen in between episodes, which actually I will see quickly if I can. You know what? Let's just.
Jesus
let me
Christ
see
had
for a
12.
sec.
I love the Jesus Christ.
Sorry. Okay, so we'll watch a few. Just another one. Just a quick little. A breather. We just had very intense conversations and moments. Let's get back to our safe place. The frenemies we love and enjoy. Ooh, my bad. I just turned off the fucking.
Where now I'm like, oh, did I say something wrong? Like,
This
staring at
podcast is a disaster.
you.
What do you love about you?
They're so different.
Really?
I love that clip. I love that clip so much. And she's right. So do you think she means like different in the way that like there was a genocide for them? Or do you think like oh
Dear God.
This is a part of the fucking Dr. Drew episode. This is the episode, which by the way, we know because Ethan's lack of eyebrows. If you're looking for a good way to have a timetable on Frenemies, it's when does Ethan have eyebrows and when doesn't he have eyebrows?
And Alfredo was just on his back, like chilling, and she's like, "Oh my
Context: Alfredo is Ethan's dog.
God, I think your dog is dead." I poop there a lot because I work
Yeah.
right there. I know it's disgusting.
I see
I'm
it on
sorry.
TikTok.
My poop?
Yeah.
I'll hate on
Ace
anybody.
family.
Now that you've cursed my life, now that you've been like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Ethan, something terrible is gonna happen."
I didn't
Okay,
do
let's talk
it.
about Ace Family.
You watch Fuck, Marry, Kill, iDubbbz, Jack's Films, or Philip DeFranco. Go.
15 minutes later.
That Fuck, Marry, Kill shit
Okay,
is,
here.
is intense.
Oh.
Fuck Hitler.
Oh, it's so funny. She also had a famous moment of like going off on Philip DeFranco for some reason, which if you don't know is like a YouTube newscaster essentially. And she like goes into him about like how he's fat. And then the best part, it might even be
Hitler.
I have
I'm
a-
so mad about that still.
I'm in a bikini
I
trying
need
to
to
be hot.
know. It's in one of these videos, I'm pretty sure. Where she literally goes on this huge tangent about how much she hates Philip DeFranco, and then by the end of the episode is like, "Can I apologize, Philip DeFranco?" And then she does, and she does this whole thing where she looks dead into the camera and goes, "I'm sorry for calling you a fat fuck, Philip DeFranco. That was mean. I was reacting because I don't like your wife because she was a bitch to me at one of the like social." It's like this whole thing that like is so unhinged, and she never said prior to, so it literally comes out of fucking nowhere and brings up the wife and everything.
Our legendary died young. Chris Farley, Elvis, Marilyn, Anna. I'm being set up to be killed, and it's because of you and Moses and Elam.
Me too. What?
Dear God.
God, I wish I could find that.
Agree,
But
I
glamorous.
disagree. No, stupid.
Well, I agree. I think when someone says that, it makes them look worse than I think. Whatever.
There's so many things to come for me for. Like,
What are we
saying I'm
talking about?
fat is like an obvious. Like, that's what you're gonna come for me for. Like, there's just so many other things that's wrong with me.
So you got
Once again, me when I don't send an
So many-
assignment. You're gonna come for me for my late assignments. There's so much else you can come for me for. Like, are you kidding? It's a bit unprofessional, don't you think? Okay, well, let's get a little bit back on track. So there's once again our little break to remind us of the good times. Like the Holocaust, if you will, according to Trisha Paytas. One thing they did, which isn't really that important, but I do find entertaining, was goat therapy. I'm not kidding. If you're
Goat
wondering
therapy?
what that is, I think it was actually called goat yoga. They do yoga, and goats climb all over them whilst they do yoga.
Okay, that sounds actually super cute.
Yeah, I didn't watch the episode; it was boring, but it is funny that it happened. She voted for Biden because of the musical Hamilton, because Biden quoted Hamilton, which she did not realize was actually quoting the coat of arms and your American rights, and she thought that Hamilton had come up with it, the musical,
Oh, okay.
and did not realize it was like in the American coat of arms.
I guess the more you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Trisha wants the D'Amelio family to burn in hellfire. Why? Couldn't tell you. She just, for whatever reason, really, really fucking hated them during 2020. if you don't know, D'Amelios are huge TikTokers. They will also be in a podcast. Slash will be talked about in many other podcasters because they are all over TikTok. But to summarize, they are the family-friendly Kardashians. Think Kim without the sex tape and the Botox. And you'll have, you know, Dixie D'Amelio. Except for she shaved her head, so not exactly. But basically, they're like TikTok famous people, and they got in controversy strictly, in my opinion, because like they were like the most famous people at the time. They were like, I think Charlie D'Amelio has over 1 billion followers, which is crazy because I can't even wrap my head around the number 1,000, let alone 1 billion. But
That's craziness.
I want to say it was either 1 billion or 100 million. I know there are big differences. Shut the fuck up. Leave me alone. But it's one of the two, and she just like for whatever reason like weeks on end was just like ripping the D'Amelio sisters open for no good reason. I will say Charlie D'Amelio I think was actually like 16 at the time too. Like she's just attacking a 16-year-old. Fact check me on that because I could be wrong, but either way she definitely wasn't older than 18, so it's still weird from like a 32-year-old woman to do that, but whatever. So now finally after we did that little, you know, do-si-do square dancing, if you will. Everyone get up and link arms. We're back to fighting. We're on to our second fight.
Oh boy.
Some pretenses of this is this fight comes from Ela, Ethan's wife, and Moses's sister. Which, you know, I probably don't say that anymore, but I'm probably gonna keep doing it. But Ela Klein is brought up by Trisha. And Ethan makes a statement. Okay, cut that out, looks at Trisha and goes, Ela doesn't want to be mentioned on the podcast. It's not personal. She just doesn't want to. Now, important context to add here, which I will say, once again, Ethan Klein, if you're watching this was a massive fuck up by you, and I'm so sorry, but bitch.
I love to move closer to the mic.
This was stupid. Well, don't, and I'm giving my camera the death stare. Because I want Ethan to know if he ever sees this bitch, that this is one of the dumbest things you've done, in my opinion. So, for who knows how long did Ela not want to be mentioned on the podcast, and it did not have to do with the drama of the internet. Ela did not care, and Ethan also failed to mention this in the fight, and will not mention this in the fight, but turns out, due to the podcast, Ela's family was having unknown, unnamed, and undistinguished drama. I don't want to speculate or bring anything into it because, bitch, no one's family life should be brought onto the fucking internet. So I'm not gonna spectate an insane amount here, but basically, because of this podcast, there was infighting in Ela's family. Not because of the internet and not because of like her being worried about the internet's opinions on them. She did not care about that aspect of the podcast. She never had an issue with what was mentioned on the podcast. It was her family who had an issue about it. So for Ela's family's sake, her parents, she did not want her name mentioned on the podcast. Which basically, I mean, to our knowledge, the same rules did not apply to Moses. So for whatever reason, Trisha and Ethan could talk about Moses, according to Ela, to Ethan, but couldn't talk about Ela. But Ethan failed to mention this to Trisha prior to recording, and then when on recording, confronted about this, rather than doing the proper and correct thing to do in this moment and go, hey, it's not about the views, it's not about the drama, it's not about the podcast, it's the parents. The parents are the problem. Like, we can't talk about it because the parents get mad when we mention Ela. Just like, for their sake, don't do it. He goes, I'm pretty sure, in, and it's just like, no, we just can't. Like, just doesn't give her a reason, to my knowledge. Which, granted, was probably because he didn't want to say the reason out loud. But also, bitch, cut it out. Cut it out of the fucking episode. Just cut it out of the episode. Come back and do it. Like, I cannot fathom why he did not do this and like why he chose to not tell her, and it's still crazy to me. But with all that pretense put up, let's get back to watching.
Oh dear.
Everyone get your fucking popcorn out. This one's 10 minutes.
I'm not gonna have nannies, that's for damn sure.
This is in regards to Ethan and Ela hiring nannies because they both work full-time. Ela owns a fashion company, Ethan does the podcast full-time.
What does that mean? You're not gonna have a babysitter when you have a kid? How are you gonna do anything? What does that mean?
Which actually, sidebar, this is so funny because someone did in fact tweet at Trisha and go, "Hey, how's nanny-less parenting going?" To which she then responded going, "It's going great. Haven't hired one yet." Which is so funny because the only reason why I know that is because I had to look up the tweet because I was going to tweet it at her when I was making this video because I thought it was really funny, and then I found out someone beat me to the fucking punchline. Fuck you, whoever you are, random Twitter user.
I mean, you're trying to attack our parental abilities?
Let's just move on.
I would say so.
There's no attack. I just made a comment.
There's something wrong with having a nanny?
In my eyes, yes.
Really?
We just keep doing the
What
beauty
about daycare?
Also,
Whether
her
you want to
bringing
increase
up the thing they're supposed to be doing, which is some sort of beauty thing. They're doing beauty hacks is what it was. They're supposed to be beauty hacks. Her being like, let's just get back to the beauty hacks. Like, stop doing this. Like, bitch, you literally were like, my kids don't have a nanny. Like, under your breath. Like, girl, you don't have the right to be like, let's just do the beauty hacks.
No.
Right.
Why?
Nannies are like people who come here and take care of your child all day.
Because we're
And, like,
working. That's how everybody has nanny. They work. People work.
You can take care of kids and work. I never
How?
had a nanny. My parents, I never had a nanny.
And so you think we're bad parents? That's
I'm not. Look,
Mm.
hear me out. I don't want to be mean right now. However, I am taking the fan out. Because I would like to say, and girl, look how you turned out.
I was thinking, good for you that your family
Wow.
didn't have to do that,
And
but yeah, no.
First and foremost, not shitting on any parenting style. Because every human being, and every child, and every parent, like, needs different things. And I have literally, one of the things I have no opinions on, parenting. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. It's not my business. I ain't gonna pop one out, so why the fuck do I give a shit? However, bitch, you are not a shining star of maturity, adulthood, and general, like, humanity, we'll say. So crazy of you to be like, my parents never had a nanny, and look at me. Like, girl, it's not the giving what you think it's giving, and it is in fact arguing against yourself. But,
Correct.
anyways, I hope Malibu's doing great.
what
I
you're
didn't say
insinuating.
that. I said I would never have a nanny. Did I say you had a parent? You're putting words in my mouth. I literally said I would never have a nanny if I had a kid.
Okay. Well, I
And
think a
also
lot of
that
people have
parents
nannies. A
with
lot
nannies
of our
are bad
employees have
parents, but-
nannies.
Let's
Because
skip
we
over
both
that part.
work, right?
Mm.
And so we have a nanny that Theodore really likes, and he spends the whole day with her. And then when she's done around 4:30, we
We
take
should have
over
a
and
nanny
spend.
for Coda.
I think that's pretty normal.
Correct. Yes.
Happy for you guys.
Why are you attacking our parental?
I'm not. I said I would not
choices.
have a nanny if it was me.
But
I'm not attacking your parental choices. You do whatever you want.
I'm not attacking your parental choices. You're
I'm not
attacking
attacking
But why
at
did you
all.
make that comment then?
I'm just saying. I heard a nanny
Great
upstairs, and I
question.
was like, oh, I want to have a nanny
Why'd you say it?
because I want to have a nanny. I heard a nanny upstairs. And I was
But
like,
you're but clearly you're trying to say something about us.
No, I'm not at all. That's you.
Really? You just said it out of nowhere when you're mad at me?
projecting. You're projecting that.
No, I'm not. Why would I? How am I projecting?
Because you're like, oh, you're attacking us.
Do you
I
think
didn't
you-
attack you. I just
You
said I
think
would
I'm
have
a?
a
Do
nanny.
you think I'm a good dad?
It was a comment. I have no idea.
May I just add, very off topic, but also on topic, that menorah is sickening, and I want it. And
I concur.
I love the way they decorated the set in this episode, which is so. I guess it's here's your scale. They're either dressed up in costume and cosplay, or they have a full fucking like dressed up set. One of the two will happen when they fight.
I don't know. You seem fine. You seem good with him. I have no idea if you're a good dad. I can't say either way.
But I have a nanny.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I don't think it's a problem. I would just, if I was lucky enough to
I
have a
wouldn't be able
kid,
to-
I would just spend my time with the kid and
Oh.
figure it out where we could, figure it out. Because my mom and dad did that. My mom was a single mom, and we still never had a nanny.
She didn't work when you were like 1.5,
She worked at night.
and nobody watched you.
My brother.
Oh well, he doesn't have a brother or a sister.
Yeah,
So should
then
he-
wouldn't your brother technically be a nanny? Theoretically.
Good question.
If we're what now? No, for real. What is the difference in that situation between a nanny and a brother? Like, yeah, objectively, bloodline
Titles.
and like, yeah, whatever. But objectively, in the sense of need. Also, then what the fuck was with your brother? Who fucking if your brother was looking after you, who looked after him when he was younger? Because you clearly didn't.
Again, another excellent question.
Could it have been maybe grandparents? In which case, or is that not also being a nanny?
Did he just be by himself?
You have family, don't you? You can't be with his grandparents.
Ethan, say something stupid. I'm way too fucking your-sided right now. So really, I need to balance the spectrum again. So say something rude and like fucked up.
They're not here.
They're
they have a
very
life.
close.
I wish.
They have
Yeah,
a life.
I would let them come.
That's what family
What's
does.
so-
My grandma watched me.
Okay, so then this is the problem with my family.
Correct.
Sure, put that out there if that's the narrative you want to say. Sure. Whatever you want me to say, I will. If you want me to say that,
I'm just trying to follow the thread because you're upset and
There's
you're trying
no
to.
threat. I
No.
literally made a
You know,
comment that if
for
I'm lucky
loving
enough to
Jewish
have
people
kids,
so
and I
much, she's
can't
being
fucking
very
have
capable
kids,
towards
I'll
an
be with
entire
them all the
Jewish family
fucking
right
time
now.
and make sure I can
Just
spend as much as I can
Put
with
it out
them.
there.
And then when
Don't you think it's healthy to be away from them sometimes?
Yeah, but they should be with another family member.
So they should never be with anyone that's not in their family.
I don't believe in that at all.
Seems extreme. Seems like not
That
everybody
seems
has that
extreme.
luxury. You know.
Sure.
Sure.
So should I quit or should Hila quit?
It's not about quitting. It's about balancing your schedules. In my opinion, you could do whatever you want, but if it was me, it'd be called balancing your fucking work schedules. Especially because then you're both blessed to be able to like work for yourselves. Like you should. I would balance it.
So right now Hila's at the job and I'm doing the podcast. So should I not do the podcast or Hila should not be at the?
I think both. I think
Okay.
you should.
I
give
just
and
wanted you to
take
help
space.
with my schedule. So I'm not going
If
to do the
you want- If you want
podcast.
my help, I'll give you your help.
Yeah, I'm
You're
just trying to
asking
help.
for my help.
Yeah, I'm asking for your help scheduling my life around
Okay.
Theodore.
All right.
I
So
don't know
I'm
why
doing
I'm
the
actually
podcast
trying
now,
to
so
wrap my
Hila
head
should be
around
at
this,
home
but I'm
for sure.
actually trying to think.
And then
well,
when I'm done with the
who should
podcast, she
quit?
can go to the office and I'll be with Theodore.
Yeah,
In
you
my
can
brain,
do
I'm literally
schedule.
just being like,
And do you know what it's
who
like
like
being with
brings
a
less value to the family
1.5-year-old?
because
Of
of
course
their
not, 'cause
job,
I'm a parent. It's
hypothetically?
a little insensitive because I'm infertile. And
Not
it's
that
a
either
really
do,
issue that I
but-
struggle
Well, I
with,
asked
so-
is
Give
because
Trisha
you know,
something
you
here.
realize
She's
you
not
can't
giving me
do
much.
any
No, by
work when you're
saying
with.
that, you're saying, do you have kids? Throwing it in my face that I don't. So
I
No,
don't
that's
think
not
that's
what
true.
I was
it's exactly what you were doing because you know I don't have kids. So
No,
why
my
would you
point.
ask
My
the question?
point.
So once again, we see a trend though of the children come up, and not only do the children come up, but Ethan just talks about his children, and Trisha automatically assumes that it has to do with her infertility, even though literally nothing in Ethan's mouth,
Nothing.
like yeah, has never once said anything about Trisha's infertility, and clearly knows not to, but she has somehow convinced herself again that he is talking about her infertility.
Point
And
was
that
that
you
you're
know.
assuming that it's so easy for me to be with a 1.5-year-old, not knowing how insane and like nonstop it is that I wouldn't be able to do anything else with the rest of the day when I have work to do. I have to
Right.
work. I'm an adult. I have a job like most adults do. And what happens if you're two parents and you have to go like, huh?
Where's your mom and dad don't want to watch Theodore? They don't want to have to
They're
spend
here on
every minute they
Sundays.
can with him. I know my mom would be like, "Oh, let me like my."
That's your mom.
Right. So I'm just giving you my perspective. You asked
So
for
you're
my help.
so you're criticizing my mom.
You said I giving you my
No,
perspective.
I want your I want your perspective.
Okay, that's all I said.
Well, I do
girl.
I
wish
don't
you
think
guys.
you do want her perspective, honestly.
No, well, no one wants Trisha Paytas' perspective on anything, frankly. Secondly, I will say, for a bitch who's like, I'm giving you my perspective, girl, but you're not standing your ground on anything. Like, you're also, like, just saying...
She's just throwing digs,
Yeah.
little daggers.
You're just throwing things out there, and then when you're confronted on it, you're just trying to avoid the subject. When it's like, girl...
Oh, well, you're bringing up my infertility.
yeah,
That's what
exactly.
this is.
When, like, anytime Ethan tries to be like, so are you saying my parents are the bad ones here? She's like, that's not what I said. And it's like, well, that's what you implied, though. And like,
Yeah,
it wasn't... And it's not like it was, like, light implication, like, you know, when J.K. Rowling, like, you know, oh so eloquently, like, named her one Asian character, like, Ching Chong. Like, no, it was like... Actually, no, it was pretty close to that now I think about it.
It was Cho Chang.
It wasn't Cho Chang, fuck! I knew, I got the syllables, you know? 2 syllables.
Just have a kid,
Very
and
close.
I'm sure it'll be great. And I hope that you quit doing everything you do in life just to be with that kid
I would make it work
24/7.
because I
You
work
would
for
make
myself, and you
Right.
know what? That's when you find someone.
And I hope
mom, my
Moses.
sister.
I hope Moses quits every single thing he does to.
Which I will say is crazy because in hindsight, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Because I do not think that man has a job anymore. I'm pretty sure he literally quit everything. And granted, he is basically Trisha's social media manager, to my knowledge. He does all the camera work. He does research for her, according to her. Does a lot of things and actually helps business-wise, which, you know, good for him and good for them. But I will say it is interesting to see this perspective and to see them talking about this and to see Ethan be like, you know, I hope Moses quits anything he's passionate about because he did do that. And maybe, you know, I'm not going to say that Moses doesn't care about our content or isn't passionate about our content because there's such things as finding new passions, new hobbies, new jobs, etc. But it is interesting to see that that in fact did happen. Moses did end up giving up on a lot of the things that he had done prior to and did all the things with Trisha Paytas and now basically is both her husband and her employee. So that is just interesting that that's kind of where that went.
To be with the kid every single moment when you are.
That's totally fine if
yeah.
he wants to. If he doesn't want to, whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, like everybody does with kids.
Yeah.
They quit everything they do.
When you have a kid, you should try and be with it as much as possible, not
Be with it.
strangers.
Abby's not a stranger.
She's not your family.
Dan's not. I mean, Dan's not family, but I trust him.
Well, Trish, that's why
pizza's
I'm
here.
interested in the room.
Wow.
Should we keep doing beauty?
Oh, this is actually a fun fact too, I should say. There is a famous thing called the pizza curse with this podcast, where basically a fight happened every time they ordered pizza. The podcast ended every time they ordered pizza. And it's so funny because I think in the last fight they have, like right as they're ordering the pizza, they're like, we shouldn't do this because ordering pizza is going to make us get into a fight. And then they did. So that's
They just keep like
interesting.
calling these fights into
Oh, yeah.
existence.
Also, fun. And we're back, except for we're not, because I didn't stop recording, and I'm going to cut that together seamlessly. Anyway, let's continue with the fight.
Products.
Whatever you want.
All right, let's do it. What triggered you again? What were we talking about?
Hila being too good for me to talk about on this podcast. Don't even fucking mention her. And she's a fucking queen. Like, don't even fucking mention me.
Oh,
on the
shit.
podcast,
Right, that's
even though
why.
I'm a literal podcaster.
Right, that's why.
Cool. And you can talk about
Get
Oil.
her,
You wanted to do the
bitch.
oil?
Sure.
The pizza's here, everybody. Woo!
Pizza's here.
The pizza.
So I think the best part about this is I believe this is the time when her boyfriend had gone, I guess now husband, Moses, went to go get the pizza. So he was not present during this and came back to this look, these looks right here.
She is not a
Which-
happy camper right now.
I mean, eyes are the windows to the soul, and let me tell you, I can see their whole pussies on display right now.
Pizza's
Yes.
here. We had a full meltdown while you were gone.
Expect another text from your sister. I'm not coming back to the house. I'm not. Like,
We've heard that before.
Moses said, "What happened?" You know, this is the literal meme where you walk in with the pizza and the room's on fire. This is the literal.
Okay, we're gonna skip ahead. Oh, if not by
Real
much,
talk.
apparently.
That food looks so good though.
Don't. I literally
both
getting
tree
ready and recording this. Have been wanting like dog shit pizza, like from a shitty pizza place, like fucking Pizza Hut or fucking Domino's, so fucking bad. I just want to munch on some goddamn breadsticks right now, but unfortunately I cannot reach through the screen. Okay, here we go. This is by the way, I think their most intense fight. It is only the second one, but I'm pretty sure
Oh,
this one gets
shit.
the most intense. So fair warning. Lots and lots and lots of hard language. However, you heard me call this girl a rampant cunt, so I assume you're okay with that by now.
Mm-hmm.
Saying how Hila doesn't like
oh,
her.
Hila says, don't talk about me on the podcast. All I said was you should have the guest. He's like, we can't mention Hila. She doesn't want me to talk about, oh, she's too good for a fucking podcast. Even though we were talked about, they never once consulted me at the
I
beginning
said
of
it's a
spring. She has a fucking podcast. I brought life to the fucking H3 channel, but oh, Hila's too fucking good to even mention her name. I said nothing bad. I said like, oh, we should have her as a guest or whatever. Like that. Don't
No.
even mention Hila. She doesn't want to be talked about. Fucking.
Okay.
I literally don't care.
Whoa!
I really fucking hate.
That's the C word.
So she always making comments about the family and how.
I wasn't. That wasn't it. I said, oh, Hila should be a
That's
guest
why-
on the podcast, and you're like, don't fucking mention Hila. She's
Yeah, so this is where the miscommunication of Ethan Klein really comes in flawlessly. Once again, Ethan, I'm going to be honest with you. This was so easy to mitigate prior
Yeah.
to, and was something that you definitely should have known because, like, it's not like this, like, Hila hasn't been mentioned before. So if all of a sudden Hila can't be mentioned, it'd be pretty off-guarding for Trisha to find that out. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, how did you not know that this was going to happen to a degree, right? Like, it's like, and now he's trying to explain the real reason, but you've already fucking lost her. You can't get her
Oh
back
god,
now.
yeah, she's off the
so-
rails again.
Yeah, so at this point, it's null and void to be like, look, this is what really happened, yada yada. Because bitch, you ain't getting that back. You ain't
Mhm.
getting her back. Not now, not ever.
someone talked about, oh, a fucking
Until next
queen. You
episode,
guys
that
talk
is.
about my shit all the time,
It's-
but her don't fucking mention her name. Dumb fucking bitch.
Okay.
I think we should just end it, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
fucking bitch.
She's not.
And you are too. You're a fucking cuck.
You
You
take
have no
a
fucking
cock.
backbone.
All right, you should leave. We'll talk later. Yeah, you should get
I'm
out.
not. I am going, but
Yeah.
I'm not talking later. Fucking bitch, you too. I don't care. Fucking dump me. I couldn't care less. Your family's
It's not about dumping.
This is
I
this
don't
is
know
an
what
entirely
happened.
different vibe.
Which I will say, by the way, crazy. And look, I'm not gonna make assumptions about a relationship or nothing here. How could you marry this woman after? Because he's in the room right now. Hello, is Moses present with us? Is the spirits? He's present, bitch. He's in the crystal ball. He's watching this. Not only is he watching this, like, this is his family. This is his sister. This is his mother. This is his brother-in-law. This is his parents. Like, this is people who he grew up with. Like, his whole fucking life, basically. And she's doing all of this. And they somehow got married and had babies. And you know what? I'm a patient motherfucker. But that bitch, he's Buddha. Because, girl, absolutely fucking not. I could
So many
not
red flags.
imagine. However, I think his parents went to the wedding. Ethan and Ela weren't invited.
Oh, Jesus.
You better just. Well,
This is him talking to Moses, I
if
think.
if just
Okay, that's basically the end of the fight, to my knowledge, because I think now... Yeah. So then this is so funny to me, though. He has...
The future of health.
Fuck you, bitch. He has one of his workers come in and, like, take the place of Trisha. Ah! Okay. Before we get to this...
Oh boy.
Let's talk about, well, we have a quick little what happens after this and our accountability corner. What do we think? How do we feel? What's our vibes on this fight?
That was so much. I just felt like that was so much more emotionally intense than the last fight.
I remember watching this, and even still to this day, it's an uncomfortable watch. That's one of those things that, like, I get it. Reality TV is like, you want to watch people fight. You want to watch, like, Kim lose the earring in the fucking ocean and cry over it, and then her sister come out and go, Kim, there are kids dying. Those types of intense moments are funny. This type of intense moments, I remember watching this and being like, this should not have made it on the air. I don't want to watch this. No one wants to watch this. It's so uncomfortable to watch, and it's so uneasy to watch it happen. Especially with, like, once again, knowing, like, this is her boyfriend at the time. Now we know future husbands, like, sister, brother-in-law, and parents that she's talking about. Like, that's insanely uncomfortable to, like, witness. And we're just sitting, and we just get to be spectators. We are the fly on the wall. I say all the time to people, I'd love to be the fly on the wall during that conversation. I regret it. I don't want to be the fly on the wall anymore. Take me back.
No. That was not. I don't know. It was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what to think about that. Like, she
and
just flew off the handle, and I can't really see. I don't know.
And if we do anything on this podcast, it's that we make people uncomfortable. We're not like liberals who want to soften the blow for you. We're real men and women in this podcast. We're here for the discomfort because discomfort is growth. Take that, liberals. Trump 2024. Hoo-ah! I'm not American, by the way. Don't take my political advice. But once again, I know I've said it a bunch, but I will reiterate this. I think my biggest gripe, beyond, like, I mean, granted, the Trisha stuff's pretty crazy, but my actual biggest gripe this moment is Ethan. I cannot believe something so important, in my opinion, and, like, so integral to the podcast, and, like, not even, like, something that's uncommon. Like, Ela's gonna come up inevitably. Like, she is. She's come up, like, every third podcast at this point, prior to this new rule being put in. So that Ela is going to come up. It is so insanely negligent, in my opinion, to do that. Because at the same time, like, a big thing about this too, like, regardless of Trisha being unhinged, like, theoretically, like, not theoretically, technically in this moment, Trisha is basically your employee who you are employing to talk about things on a podcast with you. It is absurd to me that you would not say something ahead of time to her about it. Or that you wouldn't, like, say, like, okay, cut the cameras, like, let's talk for a second, I need to explain something. Like, it just feels like a lot of things that, like, once again, Trisha's not justified in anything she said. However, it makes sense that Trisha got this way, and it is Ethan's fault that it got that far to a degree, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But after the fight, the second fight, we have the Steamies was one of the things, which if you don't know, the Steamies is a rift on the Streamies, which is the social media, not streamer awards, but like other social media, like mainly YouTube centered social media awards, where they just like give out fucking awards. I don't know. Nikita Dragon won Creator of the Year one year when she like uploaded 3 videos that year, so clearly it's not that fucking reputable. And so they made a whole like kind of rift on that where instead of giving out awards to people for accomplishing things, they gave out awards like biggest douchebag of the year, or like worst person of the year, or like most insensitive individual. Like one of the awards was like biggest cancellations, for example. In case you're wondering, Trisha Paytas won the award for most dramatic creator of the year, and she was at the award live on stage with them. There was no stage. We have the Jeffree Star Hair by Jay saga, which will be more covered eventually in both Trisha Paytas saga and the Jeffree Star podcast that will come out eventually. But TLDR, basically Trisha went on a trip with Jeffree Star and got bullied and like harassed essentially for her weight, for not wanting to spend money like them, and for a lot of things that were fucked up. Big thing was she was scammed by Jeffree Star's personal hairstylist at the time. And one of the reasons why I bring this up is because Jeffree Star has decided to rehash this drama for whatever reason. Yes, the Jeffree Star, not only the motherfucker who... You know how there's that thing where it's called, what's it called? When workers betray each other? What's that called? Is it it's wage something. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know.
I can't remember what it's called. But Jeffree Star, of all people, decides to now all of a sudden talk out against trans people. That's crazy, because last I checked...
Oh, yeah.
People want to fuck you because you a chick with a dick. Like, not actually, but come on, bitch. You must be kidding. But, so that Jeffree Star, believe it or not, bullied Trisha Paytas. And his workers are also assholes. Who could have seen that coming? And that's basically TLDR. She also got scammed by the hair guy, so that's an important thing, for like $1,800, I want to say. Which to Trisha Paytas is nothing, but... That's my tuition for a semester. But then we have Shane Dawson. Once again, will be touched upon in his own docu. The fuck is that? In his own podcast, where it'll be about Shane Dawson. But once again, TLDR. Shane got biggest cancellation of all time, including Jeffree Star in that, and then also stopped being friends with Trisha Paytas out of absolutely nowhere. Actually, no, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was because Trisha stopped being friends with Jeffree. So then Shane was like, I choose Jeffree. Then we have...
I choose you.
Then we have David Dobrik, which, once again, he'll be getting his own. Basically, treated Trisha like a piece of shit. Honestly, a big part was Trisha Paytas was abused by a lot of other content creators, and it just was not justified or right. And she has been wrong throughout history, and regardless of how much of a piece of shit she is, regardless of all the things she's done that is wrong, as my ideology of human beings deserve to be treated like human fucking beings, a lot of these individuals literally treated her like a purse dog, but worse, because they would like call her fat and like make fun of her, or like make entire things about shaming her for her weight, or being a slut, or anything in between, which is just vile, reprehensible behavior. And I think that regardless of how bad Trisha is as a human being, she should also still be given respect, and I think it should be acknowledged that Trisha has been so wrong throughout her career. They then had a Jewish quiz, in which you won't believe Trisha said crazy shit. Can I find the Jewish quiz? I don't think basically, as to be expected, it was unhinged as fuck. And she once again proved she is indeed a Holocaust expert. And I mean, what did Hitler do that was that bad, in the words of Trisha? They went to Disney, not for a podcast, but this is an important moment later on because it is integral to the fight, where basically Ethan had said things that are non-family friendly in front of Trisha's parents, being her mother or her family, in front of her mother and her sister, specifically about a candlestick being shoved up her ass when she was younger. And how her ass podcast is still damaged from that. And I will say, in Ethan's defense, not that realistically, I think there is much, but at the time in which this all came out, where Ethan talked to her mother, Trisha's mother and sister about this, like Trisha had talked about it and joked about it with Ethan, like very publicly on like every like 3 podcasts. Like it was an ongoing bit to them. So I don't think this was like Ethan like out of like disrespect. I think this was genuinely like because the only time Ethan and Trisha ever hung out was during the podcast. I think in his brain, he subconsciously just like made that dynamic every time they hung out off of the podcast as well, and just probably didn't realize that what he was saying was so far-fetched because it had been so normalized in the podcasting space with them. And I think that he just didn't mean to do it like that. And once again, that's all speculation and don't know anything. But it is kind of funny to think about Ethan being like, yeah, you know, like when Trisha put like, or got a candlestick shoved up her ass and her asshole still is bleeding to her mom and her sister. And I just really like the idea of their faces being like, oh.
Oh, God.
And then I want to address a deleted episode. There was a deleted episode, a forever lost episode. And the reason why it got deleted is because Trisha alleges a teacher had, trigger warning, sexually assaulted her and groped her in, I believe, middle school. I could be wrong in the exact detail, but I believe it was middle school. And it was found
Oh my God.
that the person in which she named was a dead man that had no records against him and that was uncharacteristic of the individual. And the reason why that is especially important because, firstly, obviously believe all victims, but because Trisha had said this man had multiple victims and that he had been charged federally and criminally for these things. However, the man in which she had named was not the person. Now, the important thing to note here in what Ethan, I believe, speculated, I believe Ethan said this, I'm not 100%, but he believes that Trisha isn't lying about her essay, as am I. I don't believe Trisha is lying about her essay. But Trisha having mental illness got 2 names confused because a person who the man who she named worked at the same high school or middle school, whatever it was, that she went to when she was younger. And what people are assuming happened, including Ethan to my knowledge, is that she had Googled the high school to find out the guy's name, saw the name because he had recently passed away, so it showed up like teacher from blank passed away. And just had played basically the name, you know, telephone. Oh, it must be this one's name, not the other one. And basically, to our knowledge, falsely incriminated an innocent man who is now dead. And once again, I believe Trisha. I believe that she probably is a victim in many ways. I don't think that anyone... I don't think that most people would ever lie about that, and I don't think Trisha would lie about that because she's been so spoken about like many things in that kind of context. Yeah. However, she made a huge fuck up that is like really wrong and really terrible to do. And if he is obviously the person she says he is, I preemptively redact everything I'm saying here, but it just doesn't look like that's the truth, and it just looks like Trisha made a mistake that if it wasn't so serious, could have been cute and fun, but it's not cute and fun, so...
No, it's definitely not.
Now, with that being said, we finally, with 10 minutes to 2 hours of this, holy fuck, I might break this into 2 fucking episodes, have the final fight. Cue Phantasmic Disney music. Another costume breakup, first and foremost. Another costume breakup, and you'll never guess, it was indeed Uncle Fester. Uncle Fester made a return. He's back again. I think it's Uncle Fester. I actually don't know. But yeah, it is coincidental, but I believe Ethan is Uncle Fester again.
Doing stuff like that, but it's also like not that.
Hold on. Maybe not. Is that Uncle Fester? I don't fucking know. Who is this? I
don't know either.
I thought they were Addams Family, but maybe they're not. They're probably not. I don't know the Addams Family. Oop, I'm exposed. So some pretense I want to put quickly. 5% is a big number that you're going to see thrown around. Because I do not remember. Oh, I know why. Okay, so the way the podcast revenue was broken was all podcasts got split 45-55, which firstly, crazily good revenue split for Trisha. To get 45% for just showing up is insane. That's absurd. But that was a revenue split. And then the extra 5%, instead of going 50-50, was to pay for production, is what Ethan had said. Obviously, it's not to, like, you know, give everyone their paycheck because they have other things going on and they're, like, hired under Ethan. But Trisha took that as basically, like, that 5% is going into the employee's, like, pocket and nothing else. Not, like, you know, it's obviously just, like, an extra 5% towards the entirety of H3 Productions in general. It's got nothing to do probably with Frenemies, to our understanding. But Trisha took it as, like, this 5% was, like, paying the employees for their time on Frenemies specifically, which is crazy because, bitch, I hate to break this to you, 5% would not be enough to pay 6 employees to do a full production of a podcast.
Not at all. Not even close.
For YouTube revenue.
And then all the tech and all.
Yeah.
No.
For YouTube and especially through YouTube revenue, which we all know these bitches were not getting that good of ad revenue, like AdSense. So with, like, saying, like, things like cunt and bitch so often. So, like, crazy enough of her to even, like, assume that that was where that was going. But 5% is a big number that needs to be thrown around. Big thing is receipts. We're gonna talk about the receipts a little bit after, like, in the video when we start breaking it down. But there's a lot of receipts we see. And then merch. This came out the week before, and this was the final breakup. The creme de la creme. The week before they dropped Frenemies merch. The merch had been made, it had been produced, it had been paid for. All by Ethan Klein. And they ended it a week before. So without further ado, let's get into
like
it.
appreciate all the work you do and stuff like that, but it's also like not that great. I don't get input on like.
Oh, actually, I'll set up the argument quickly. The argument basically is Trisha had kind of just been bitchy all day at this day. For whatever reason, she just was not in, like, the bestest of moods. And she was pretty, like, negative across the board and just low in energy. We all have our bad days, whatever. But they were introducing a new segment, which was, oh my god, a segment we're introducing. No, we're not. Giving advice to viewers, which is why we're not doing that segment, because he's a doctorate. He has no advice to give you. I've dropped out 3 times. So clearly we are not shining stars of what to do in life. And we're not going to pretend we are. So, but they did this whole thing where they're going to do, like, advice. Da-da-da-da. And Trisha did not like this idea. And Trisha was like, no, boring, not doing it. And we find out.
Boring, not doing it.
We find out. Because Trisha had made a point in previous episodes. She wasn't comfortable with it being an all-man cast. And that she wanted either someone that she could hire to be on, whether it be, like, a producer or something, or them to, like, start having more women involved. And believe it or not, would you believe it? The person who came up with this idea was their newly hired female employee, whose new job was to come up with concepts and just do general, like, extra work. So, like, one of the things she did was she made baked goods for them, and she was, like, paid for that. She just, like, was there to do, like, very mishap things, like a general assistant, if you will. And she was the one who came up with this idea, of all fucking people. And it wasn't even Ethan. And she doesn't know this, to be clear. She thinks it was Ethan's idea. And she rips into this idea thinking it's Ethan. Which, not to say that it's fair to rip into Ethan either, because even if it was Ethan's idea, like, don't be mean, you meanie pants. But even worse when you find out it's this employee that she basically pushed to have hire. But we'll continue watching.
People we hire, like all this stuff like that. I don't get.
People
I
we
don't
hire. Why would I ask you about
God, that pizza looks so fucking good.
people I hire?
because it's frenemies and you
want
took
it.
the budget for paying the crew. That's what you told me. You told me you take highlights, you take 5% to
caught
pay the
herself
crew.
there.
No,
So
you.
why don't I get any input on the crew or what we do?
These are employees of our
So why are you
production
taking
company.
highlights and 5% of frenemies? You told me that it was to pay them, that they could be working.
for production costs.
Okay, but you told me
It's for
at the
production
beginning.
costs.
You told me at the beginning it's like they could be working on other things. So I made that argument too. I'm like, well, they're already H3. Oh, they could be working on other things. So I'm like, okay, in that
It's
case,
for production costs. I take 5% extra from the podcast revenue, and I take the highlights revenue, and everything else we split.
right. So for production costs,
Yeah.
But again, you were about to move us all to downtown LA, and I was just like, but the production cost should be included.
Yeah.
Like you were going to share the cameras because Dan said, "Oh, we have to get new computers and new cameras." Well, I'm like, Frenemies
And I
has the budget.
obliged you. I said, okay, fine.
But you fought me on it.
Because we bought a studio downtown. That was always the plan, by the way, that we were going to move downtown. And then all of a sudden, I was
For
like,
H3,
yo,
I
and
had
I was
no
like, yo,
consent
we're
to it.
moving. I told you ahead of time, but it's fine because
You didn't tell me
we're
downtown
still
LA.
at my house now. But I said, okay, so I was like, yo, by the way, we moved into our new office. We're going to be there next week. It's good. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to go down there. And well, we had made all these plans to move the set and everything and to do everything. So you're like, I don't want to go down there. And then we talked about it for a little bit. And I said, okay, fine. And so we had to buy.
But that was the first time we ever spent money on.
Which, to bring up the 5%, again, crazy enough. Because once again, she thinks it's for production costs and for like paying for frenemies across the board, basically. Which also, by the way, so let's really break this down here. Because realistically, like what Trisha has, the fiction which Trisha has made up in her mind is that Ethan is making 55%. However, what is going on with that 55%? He is then theoretically making no revenue and is pouring all his 55% back into Frenemies, a show that he only co-hosts and literally, like we all knew, and he has said, like, is basically like fucking what like Buddhist monks do up in the fucking temple, where it's sand that they work for years and then they fucking wipe it all away by the end. Like, it's not going to be here forever. It's clearly a limited time thing. So why the fuck would he put all of his 55% back into it and just not make any revenue off of a like thing that he loves and a product that he's monetizing? And then theoretically, if she doesn't think he's doing that, that means that she thinks his 5% is covering this cost. Which, so we've already covered like what it would have taken to do the cost. Now we're adding in the crew not only has to go to downtown LA in order to work the H3 productions, but also have to commute to Ethan's own personal home and personal studio in his house in fuck knows where, just to record Frenemies, which means that they have to get some sort of compensation for double commuting. There's two different types of commutes here. So we're already adding way more fucking into this. On top of that, also there's now, like, this is a separate set and camera crew from what we have at the H3 production studio, which means there is an entirely different cost here. And bitch, the 5% even gonna handle the pizza on your fucking table right now.
No.
On production costs.
It's not about that, dude. It's literally about we are producing the show and I'm taking a cut. I feel like that's beyond reasonable.
All the
Beyond
highlights.
reasonable.
5%.
Yes.
5%. Do you realize how much 5% was of our last one? That should be enough. But also like highlights, and then you weren't the membership that I had to fight for because you weren't. You're like, oh, I forgot to tell you about the members. Like,
I giving you
crazy.
50% of all,
That's right. I forgot to mention, I think Trisha gets, actually he's gonna say it right here,
all
right?
the members. Even
Yeah.
though
Trisha gets, if you don't know, YouTube has this thing called a membership program. It's basically the exact same as a subscribing to someone on Twitch. It's the exact same thing, except for there is no Prime sub. You have to pay whatever the fee is. And YouTubers can change the fees. I know a lot of YouTubers do like 99 cents, because like I think the lowest you can go. And then like a lot of people do like, you know, whatever. Upwards of like 99 cents to like however fucking much. I think Onision does like $150. But basically he gave her 50% of all members of the H3 podcast channel.
Huh.
So it's not even Frenemies. It's the H3 podcast channel, because you can only do it based on subscribers. Like, you can't like how like with YouTube, every video, for example, on YouTube gets its own revenue, right? With members, it's universal across the board for the whole channel. If it's on one channel, you have one membership program, which means that she is getting 50% of like Frenemies people, sure, but she's only getting 50% of anyone H3 related at all. Any H3 association membership, she is getting 50% of, regardless of if she is directly involved or not. Which I still can't grapple my head around, because I would not even put membership on the table for an employee. That's insane to me.
So we work and do all of the work. I don't know why you fight me on money. The deal you have is beyond reasonable.
Okay.
No, but I feel like a lot of the frustration you have about everything with the
frustrated. When I'm bringing stuff up, you get defensive. I'm not frustrated. I'm pointing out these things because I would like to know. I just want everything to be a lot more transparent, because I'm like, what are the production costs?
Can't be more transparent.
Can you show me all the costs of production
It's
that you?
not like an itemized thing. We are doing the show. That's the cost.
So if you don't think 5% is like enough for the producing the show?
5% and the highlights was what we agreed to at the beginning, and that's what it is.
Oh my god. Okay, if you think that's what it's worth, okay.
It's worth more than that, to be honest with you. You're getting a very generous deal. And the sponsors that that we work to get, right? We do all the work to bring in
And you
sponsors.
win.
I mean, I had all of Adam
50%.
and Eve for the first like 20 shows. So I mean, I appreciate what you do, but don't act like I don't bring it. I brought.
Yeah, you
all of
brought
that.
Adam and Eve, and so that was one sponsor we worked with.
That's
which
all we
was
had for
awesome.
the first like.
And now
10
we have
sponsorships.
tons of sponsors every episode because it takes time, obviously, to get the show out.
I do actually, this is kind of off topic, but kind of on topic for what they're talking about. Wonder what happened to sponsor deals after this breakup, because they're contracted. So
Good question.
I do wonder. Like, I watched this one person, her name's Grayson Projects, and she's basically like recently decided she's gonna take like a hiatus from YouTube to a degree. But she says, I'm gonna have to keep posting for the next 6 months because I have sponsor deals in place to like post for the next 6 months and having a sponsored video like however often. So I do wonder what type of deals they had and like what the fuck happened to the deals. Would they have just gone to a like H3 podcast? Like I wonder. We're never gonna know, but it is interesting to ponder.
Up and pitching, and you get 50% of all of that. I feel like the deal you get is super fair. And I feel like you're gaslighting me, to be honest, saying that you're not like frustrated about
But
that.
I'm not.
Because it
Ethan.
really is a source of like every time
love that
something
hat,
comes
by
up
the
where it's
way.
like I hired somebody or this, that,
Personally.
and like
Imagine my
you don't
big
do
ass
that much on
blonde
the
poofy
show.
wig
Attention
with
to it, I'm
that
not
on top of
upset.
it.
I would text
It
you. I would
literally
tell
like
you
always
right away.
blonde
comes
poofs,
down
like,
to,
fighting
oh,
out the
well,
sides,
you get this
like looking like a fucking
5%, and so
evil
Because you're
doctor.
saying,
not
why
fair.
should I get an input on the employees? That's what you said. And
because
you
they're
brought up to me
they
that.
don't just work on Frenemies, they're my employees.
Okay, but when I said that to you originally, you said, oh, we pay the employees. They could be working on other things. So why don't we have Frenemies employees and I get input if we're spending 5% of the budget towards them?
Because
I
bitch, she ain't
think
gonna hire
that's
completely
not-
new employees just for you, and just for
Yeah,
that singular
Which
podcast.
also, I think he will say he did offer to let her bring on a producer of her hiring and of her standing, her choice, whatever the fuck. And so, like, it's not even like he wasn't. I agree, that's completely fucking unreasonable. But the biggest thing is, he didn't even like say that she couldn't have someone on the set. And once again, he literally hired a woman because Trisha had made it clear that she was uncomfortable with a full man cast. And although, yeah, I mean, frankly, you probably should not just have all men on your cast, regardless. But, like, it's still like going above and beyond to try and like fulfill Trisha's needs and wants. And it's a bit like. It's a bit out there to insinuate that Ethan has not like done his due diligence for you to be a co-host on this podcast, when it is in fact like the opposite, and you just are frankly a shitty co-host. Oh my god, I never knew you and Trisha had so much in common.
What it is.
That's
If
what
I
you said.
So then that's
But
I don't
okay,
remember,
to say
but that's not
gaslighting
what
is
it
telling someone how they feel, and you're telling me how I feel, and I'm telling you I don't feel frustrated
Also, not what gaslighting is, just to be so fucking clear.
or upset.
But go off.
So I don't know what else that could be. How am I gaslighting you by telling you I'm not feeling this way? How is that gaslighting you? I'm not feeling this way.
Okay.
Because I'm
I
pregnant.
wouldn't show up. I wouldn't come here. I would,
You listen. You can be upset and not
I'm
be
not.
because but you could be upset and then also not be like, I'm not showing up. Fuck you.
I'm
like
not
there's
upset.
levels.
If I was
Okay.
upset, I
well, I'm
wouldn't
just
show up.
explaining. I'm just because you can be upset and still show up.
But
That's
I'm
my
not
point.
upset, and that's
Okay,
what
all right.
gaslighting is. Because you're saying
Okay.
I'm gaslighting
I'm
you by
gaslighting
saying,
you. You're not upset. You're perfectly.
Oh,
You're in
wow.
a perfect condition right now.
okay, wow, holy cow, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know how you. I just don't see what you just did. That's really.
What did I
crazy.
do?
I need we have to end it now. Like really,
What did I do?
we gotta stop for real. Really, we need
Okay.
to stop. Please, please. Okay.
Whenever you're ready, you
All
can walk
right.
away.
So. No, because I don't want to title this.
It's the
Trisha-
pizza curse.
But can we just like
I'm
edit
not
it
gonna
out?
title it
It's not.
Trisha's
Alright.
thing. It's the pizza curse. It is.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't have got pizza.
I'm gonna say.
Okay, so quick question:
Okay.
how many episodes of Frenemies don't have fights? Many?
Well, define. Do you mean like a ending fight like this, or do you mean like
Yes.
even like petty squabbles?
Like the big fights, like this.
No, there's only
where
3.
she-
This is the last one. There was only 3.
Okay.
Also, I'm gonna say it. The brown eyeshadow is so unsettling in Ethan's eyes.
Yes, it is. It really
Like,
is.
I have been mesmerized by them this whole time because I'm like, I can't look away. It might like attack me if I do.
The pizza. Oh no, it was pizza. Trisha, let me just say,
The
I'm
fact,
sorry.
Ethan, that you just did that, you're right.
Well, I
You're
don't know
right.
what I just
Nothing's wrong
said.
with you. But you don't know how much therapy I go to a week. I go to 4.
He was
two
about
sessions
to,
a week.
like,
Girl, you don't know how much
own
therapy I go
it,
through.
right?
Not a fucking enough. Not fucking enough, bitch. Not fucking enough, girl. Like, I don't know. How much therapy to go to a week? Double it. What were you gonna say?
What? Like he was just like literally about to like take a moment and be like, clearly, I'm sorry, and own up to like his role in this, and she just completely threw in the therapy.
And you know what? I'm gonna say it. I, once again, sympathize with Trisha to a very high degree. I get it. I don't want to say that her trigger isn't, like, triggering, but it is, like... It doesn't make sense to me that she got so mad over him making a mocking joke. When, like, that's something that... Like, that's so normal to do. Like, the way she... I guess it's a better way of putting it. It's not that she shouldn't be triggered by it, but it's such a normal thing to do. It's hard for me to believe no one has ever been like, no, Trisha, you're right. You're not crazy. You're not mad. You're not da-da-da. Like, literally, I do that with people all the fucking time. It's something that, like, happens all the time. Like, it's such a normal, like, catty thing that people do when they're mad at each other. So it doesn't make sense to me that she's so caught off guard by it and just so defensive about it when it's like, someone has most certainly said this to you before. Someone has most certainly, like, put you in this situation before. Why is it when Ethan does it, it's already, like, it's such a big deal? And also on top of that, like, it's not like you and Ethan have, like, this super fucking professional relationship up front and foremost either. Like, you guys literally, like, run this podcast and call each other fat fucks all the time. Like, you guys aren't, like, excuse me, Miss Patus, would you mind calming yourself down just a bit? Oh, yes, Mr. Klein, I think I will. Like, no, bitch, that's not what this podcast ever was. So I don't understand, like, the idea of, like, him saying something a bit catty and bitchy being, like, so far.
A week. No,
I understand,
Ethan,
but
Ethan, what you just said was,
that-
you're right,
that's
Trisha,
gone.
everything's fine. That's
Girl,
insane.
the wig-
like, the fact
the
that you
wig's
did
been
that to me
flung
is, like,
off.
it's not insane. We're friends.
was
We're
so
having
nice.
a friendly
This
conversation.
is where Ela comes in,
I don't have to. I
snatches the
shouldn't have
wig
to
off
walk
her
on
head, and goes,
eggshells
fuck
around
you,
everything
bitch,
I
get out of my
say.
house.
All right, Ethan,
We
I'm
have
asking to end this. I'm asking
You can leave
talk
anytime.
shit about my nanny
Trisha.
one more
then you're
time.
making this thing where we're not ending the show, and you get to sit here and be like, okay, well, that just happened, and you're eating pizza, and then
I
some
will
joke
end
and
the
whatever.
show the minute you walk
All right,
off the
so
frame.
let's just end it, please. Thank you guys for watching, and I just
This is interesting to me. I do not know why Ethan is so resistant to just cut the cameras.
Yeah,
Or,
that
like-
does make sense.
I don't want to say that it's like him. Well, I don't want to say it's not, but I also do want to say it might be. I don't want to say that he's like doing it tactically, but I do think there is a level of like, if I cut the cameras, it's my word against hers. I'd rather have the evidence, which is what I think is what he did. He never directly addresses it, but it is, I would assume, why he is so reluctant to cut cameras until she is gone. To try and, like, I don't want to say control the narrative, but more so make sure the narrative doesn't get spun, I guess is the best way to put it.
I don't want it to be a thing where you're just sitting here eating pizza and you become a meme.
So then I'll say I'm sorry.
Okay.
Obviously, I don't want to get in an argument
I
over
really
like
need
your
to
emotion.
leave.
Okay, all right, we're done. Thank
Okay.
you guys.
Thank you.
So, unfortunately, it's not the end of our Frenemy saga. It is the end of the videos we'll be reacting to. But there is a bit of catch-up. Where are they now? And what happened after this? The, as I would call it, aftermath is what I titled it. So the aftermath. Both parties have branched out into shockingly their own vibrant careers, believe it or not. One thing that's important to know, obviously Ethan kept doing podcasts and is still podcasting to this day. But after this all happened, Ethan did a spin-off of Frenemies called Families, where he had his mother come in and they recorded it in the same set as they did with Trisha. And him and his mom would talk about drama and internet stuff and so on and so forth and do a fun little spin-off. It was cute. It lasted like 5 episodes. But I think Ethan decided that his parents shouldn't be online because his dad was always sitting in and had a mic that like he could talk to them, but wasn't like technically a co-host. But said some pretty unhinged like, Dad, go take your meds now. Shit. Like, I guess his dad, like actively follows, retweets, and like says really creepy shit on sex workers' Twitter. And like his name is like something Klein, like I don't remember what his name is. So like he's so clearly associated with Ethan, and Ethan was like, oh, okay, this is enough, and so he decided that like he wasn't gonna do families anymore. And I think also his mom started getting a lot of hate because she frankly was kind of also unhinged, not in the same way of like predatory unhinged, in the way of like she's just an old boomer lady who kind of would just be like, that's like so and so's a bitch for like no real reason, and just kind of be like out of touch. But she wasn't actually. I shouldn't say that because she was never actually nasty. She just said things I guess that were just out of touch, and like clearly like boomer things. We've all heard them before. Like this, I don't remember her saying this, but I'm sure it was along the lines of like this generation doesn't want to work, yada 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 type shit, type beat. So then we have Ethan hosts many sets of podcasts now. And goes omega viral depending on like who he has co-hosting or like what's going on. And he even has another spin-off show from his social podcast called Leftovers, in which him and Hassan Piker or my soon-to-be husband, because I know where you live, do a podcast that talks about political subjects. Trisha Paytas also does podcasting. I think it's called her old podcast was called The Dish with Trish. I think it's just called Trish now. But she has a podcast where she'll have like guests on occasionally. Her and Tana Mojo recently did a collab, and you know what? I'll say it. It was good. It was funny. Those two in a room are nothing but chaos, and it's entertaining. It is entertaining at its finest. She now thrives on TikTok though, specifically. Trisha has got in a massive following on TikTok. I want to say she's got like 8 million followers on TikTok, and it's all Zoomers. It's all like young Zoomers who do not know like Trisha's past. Because she just like kind of, I mean, less so now, but like back when like Frenemies was a thing and stuff, she like did a lot of unhinged shit on TikTok that was just like not offensive but weird, like just like really strange, which as we've all seen with my generation, we love weird shit and we love laughing at and with freaks of nature. So she gained a massive TikTok following and like still does have a massive TikTok following. And I don't follow her, but when a TikTok of hers comes up in my feed, you know damn well I'm watching it. I watched the entire video. The only reason I know about the Malibu Barbie birthday party is because I watched the entire video on it. Bitch, I wish I was Malibu Barbie. Are you fucking kidding me? Like the pussy she put into that whole theme. They had a bounce house that was pink Barbie. They fucking custom bounce house. They gave their guests goodie bags that had full ass Barbies in them and then Barbie play sets too. So like one was like a karaoke guitar, one was like a fucking car that was like bigger than the fucking Barbie, and then like full ass like of Barbies. Which I don't know how much all that costs, but considering Trisha Paytas, it's probably not cheap. And they had their own on-set fucking chefs who brought a pizza wood stove oven to her house and cooked wood stove pizza oven or little like personal pizzas there, unlimited pizzas. You could just walk up to it and just be like, "Hey, I'd like this," and they would just make it for you right then, there and there. That's into I wish I was Malibu Barbie. Like I want to be her. Malibu Barbie, like Achman Paytas, whatever the fuck. Let me adopt the name, bitch. So I'm trying to think. Another thing that's the aftermath that's kind of important is there was like basically Twitter beef and such between Trisha and Ethan. Trisha made, I want to say it was over 100 videos about the whole situation, and they basically all were the exact same. Essentially, where she would make like 5 videos a day, like explaining her side, yada yada, explaining things like that weren't said. There is apparently, allegedly, this is confirmed by both parties, so it's not really alleged, but I don't fucking know. Trisha's manic, so maybe she'll fucking hit me with a case if I don't say allegedly. There is a full recorded last episode of Frenemies that never got to see the light of day. And this was decided because Ethan states that in that episode, he in fact does not stand by what he said. And he thinks that he was simply trying to appease Trisha and basically give her a lot of passes on things he thinks he shouldn't have on a secondary watch through, just because he didn't want any more conflict, especially because it has to do with his family and his personal life, and he did not want to put it out there, making people think that like he was okay with certain things or like just gonna forget about certain things and move on, when that was in fact not how he felt. And to our knowledge, that's basically where it left. To this day, Trisha and Ethan have not talked. Ela and her brother do not speak. They are not on speaking terms. They were not invited to the wedding. No one talks to Moses to our knowledge. I think maybe their parents do, but I don't know, and I don't want to speculate on that. But I do know that Ethan and Hila, because they recently confirmed at a red carpet event they went to, that they do not talk to Trisha. They wish her the best, but they were not invited to the baby shower. They've never met the baby. They probably will never meet the baby. And they basically are not family, essentially. They do not have any contact at all, like whatsoever, with each other. So,
Probably for the best, honestly.
I mean, yes and no. I think at the end of the day, actually, before I say this, so with what we know of the Frenemies saga, and as the title implies, is it that deep? What do we think? And as I was about to say, I think my biggest takeaway from this is work-life balance is important, but not only that, family work-life balance is important. And I think it's just a sticky road, and I think the two people of Trisha and Ethan were great content-wise. However, longevity-wise, I mean, we've witnessed it, clearly was not that good of a decision. And I think it's interesting because, like, yes, do I think for their sake it's, like, good that they're, like, not on speaking terms anymore? Yeah, probably. But I also think, like, in the world where they didn't do the podcast and Moses and Trisha just dated and this drama didn't happen, I think I think that it's almost like wrong that they didn't get to like meet their nephew. Or not nephew. Wait, is it nephew? Yeah, it is nephew. Niece. Like I think it's a bit bad to not get to see your niece. I think it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Especially with someone like Moses, where like I mean, granted, I don't know their relationship, but from what it seemed, Moses was very close with Ethan's family beforehand. I think it's just sad to like see that relationship get ruined, all basically for content. Realistically, like, sure you can like say it's like Trisha's a bad person, Ethan's a bad person, and that's why it ended. But like realistically, none of those discussions would have been had without it being for content. So this like literally ruined a family just for content. And it's an interesting discussion of how far is too far for the Vine, how far is too far for the YouTube video, how far is too far for the views and the clicks and the likes, you know.
True.
This is a family that's fallen apart, and that is the biggest takeaway I think I have from this personally. Is, families shouldn't get broken up with for fucking views. I guess like that just isn't something that should ever happen. I think that the family, the children, and all that should 100% come first. What about you?
Oh, I don't think there's a world that once they decide to do this podcast, I feel like you have two a little bit unhinged and emotionally immature people. And that was sealed. Like, I don't think there was ever going to be a world where they came out of doing this where they're, like, cordial with each other. Because clearly, I don't know, like, both are at fault. But then once, like, the shit started flying back and forth, it's like, this is not going to be, we're not going to come to a happy resolution. That was insane.
Yeah. It is. It's an uncomfortable watch.
Like you said, it's like clearly the views and the content was more important than the relationships. Because Ethan at any time should have been like, you know what? I value our connection. This is not good for our relationship. This needs to end.
That's a good point.
Toronto.
Yeah. Ethan could have ended it at any point. Could have. You're right. Actually, now that you say it, yeah, he could have literally just been like, "Okay, Frenemies is done forever for our relationship," and he never did. You're right. It was Trisha who did all that. Which I mean, you know, if Trisha's ending something, it's you poke the bear too hard. But what is
Like also, I hope she got the help she needs.
You know,
I don't know.
Speculate, but she seems, and granted, what she presents on TikTok, like, we don't know, right? But from what she presents on TikTok, just in general, she seems like a happier person. And I think a big part of this, actually, that I want to touch on before, is she's given birth to a child now, which is literally, I think, what Trisha, like, thinks that she is, like, alive to do, essentially.
Meant to do.
And I think that a big part of a lot of this, as people speculated online, was her insecurity around her infertility and being around people who have had children and are fertile. And then I think that a lot of different feelings were associated with that, of she's jealous and da-da-da-da. But I think that her having that baby genuinely has seemingly, at least from an outside view, because once again, I have no fucking idea, but made her just happier in general, because she's also not doing things like she used to. Like, she used to, like, call people out, get into drama, and she, like, literally avoids drama now as hard as she fucking can. Like, even with most recently Jeffree Star, like, coming at her again, she literally, like, went on her podcast and is like, I'm sorry, I, like, don't want to have this drama. Like, I will say I did everything. Like, whatever it takes. Like, just do not drag me into this. Like, I do not want it. Like, I'm not interested in being dragged back into this. So I do think that having that kid actually helped her out a fuck ton. And with all that
Good.
being said, Jack, do you think it was that deep? Really?
No. None of it. None of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. We both. What was it really that deep? No, bitch, it was not. It was never that deep. As with most things on the internet, girl, it's so not that deep.
No.
But with that being said, I have been Enigma Bazaar, slut in training, with my lovely co-host, needs therapy due to education, Jack. This has been Is It Really That Deep? And goodbye.
Bye.